Tour concludes its road shows today at Milwaukee's County Stadium with the Slugger sitting on 64. And on a warm, muggy afternoon, 50,000 plus are making their way inside County Stadium, hoping to see more history. As ESPN presents a baseball special, the St. Louis Cardinals visiting the Milwaukee Brewers. Welcome to Milwaukee. Dave Barnett along with Harold Reynolds. So far, Mark McGwire has had a little bit of what he was looking for and then nothing at all last night in terms of what he was looking for. 64 on Friday night, and then a much more aggressive tone from the Milwaukee pitching staff against McGwire last night.
Well, they've really pitched him tough, Dave. I mean, they started to bust him in and get him away, get him out away, I should say, right here. Now, you're going to get hit when you try to throw inside, but it pays off. They got him outside there, got him swinging at a pitch out of the zone. That ball he should have hit right there, but the breaking pitch away has given him problems, and Mark actually got out of his game. You really don't see him reach that wildly for balls. He'll get back to being himself today.
This Brewer staff's been right in the middle of history. They gave up numbers 59 through 62 to Sammy Sosa, and then 64 to McGwire on Friday, and it's Scott Carl's turn to face him today.
Well, they're a young staff, and they're still learning, and they want to be aggressive and go after guys, but when you're making history, 64, 65, you go, hey, I got to make some adjustments to get back to doing what I need to do.
This city's up for it. 54,000 plus last night. It was their largest crowd in 6 years since Robin Yount's 3,000th hit game here at County Stadium. 50,000 plus again making their way inside, hoping to see more history from Big Mac. Welcome again to County Stadium in Milwaukee, and it's next to last year of hosting Milwaukee Brewers baseball, going up a little bit every day out beyond the center field fence, Miller Park, which as of the year 2000 becomes the home of the Brewers. But this venerable ballpark, built in 1953, crammed with 50+ thousand again today, and at least 30,000 or so probably here for one reason only, and that would be to see the St. Louis Cardinals and Mark McGwire gunning for number 65. And the Cardinals, with a 78-77 mark, come in with a 4-game winning streak. That's one below their season best streak of 5, which they had on 2 separate occasions. They have heated up here late in the season. 6 wins in their last 7 games, 11 out of their last 15, and 16 of 22. The productive month of September, they're 13-5. And against Scott Carl, they will trot out the lineup, including Pat Kelly leading off at second base. Fernando Tatis is at third, batting second. Big Mac, as usual, hitting third, playing first. Brian Jordan is the center fielder. Ron Gant is at left. Eli Marrero is the catcher. Luis Ordaz is the shortstop. Kent Merker in the Tony La Russa adjustment mid-season, batting 8th. That's where he's had his pitchers batting much of the year. Mark Little is getting a start in right field and batting 9th. And you see Scott Carl warming with a 9-10 mark, a 4.32 ERA. He's second on the staff, Harold, in wins and losses, and has been their workhorse. This is 32nd start. That's tops on the staff, 183 plus innings. That is also the most of any Milwaukee pitcher.
Well, he's an interesting left-hander. You look at him more of a power pitcher as a lefty with the innings that he puts in, but he's a guy that's going to really trick you. Throw a lot of fastballs, he'll throw a breaking pitch, dropping on the outside half. He'll remind you a lot when he gets on a roll of Andy Pettitte of the Yankees. They pitch a very similar type of a ball game.
Carl last year won 10, but he lost 13. He had a real streaky 97. He started 0-5 and was at 1.2-10, and then he equaled the club record for a left-hander with 8 consecutive wins. So when he gets it going, he generally keeps it going for a while. And the Brewers, unlike probably the majority of the fans, hope that he has it on his game today. The Brewers defensively, with Mike Matheny behind the plate. Infield of Loretta, Vina, Valentin, and Cirillo. Darren Jackson is in left today. Marquise Grissom in center. Jeremy Burnett is in right. The first pitch is fouled off by Pat Kelly. Out of play on the right side. Kelly at second base. Entering play today with a 217 mark. 2 home runs, 12 runs batted in.
Well, you might remember Pat Kelly from the Yankees. He had an opportunity to play quite a bit with the Yanks. never really has got on track as far as fulfilling all his potential. But very solid player. I'm just going to say he likes to hit the ball to the right side as we see him line out right there to first base.
Kind of like that.
Yes, indeed.
Right at the first baseman, Mark Loretta. And Kelly, taking a couple of shots the opposite way, retired for the first out.
Well, he takes a fastball right here and just stays with it and drives it, and that's been part of Pat Kelly's problem, hitting the ball at people. This guy makes contact, swings the bat well, and just hasn't been able to find a lot of holes.
That brings up Fernando Tatis, the third baseman. He goes after the first offering and bloops a hit to left field. To left. Goodbye, number 65 is in the history books for Big Mac. Mark McGwire with his 65th. His second of the series before a delighted sellout at County Stadium. It's 2-0 St. Louis.
Well, Dave, we talked about how patient he would be today earlier as we looked at him in the pregame swings. Yesterday, swinging a lot of balls out of the zone. Right here, gets a fastball down the middle and absolutely hammered it. There was no doubt about it.
That, I'm got to be thinking, is going to be measured quite a bit deeper than 64, which went through a walkway in left field over the 392 sign. They measured that at about 430, and there's the curtain call. Well, this one's close. They say 423. Jordan retired on the fly ball to Darren Jackson for the second out. Here in the first inning, crowd still buzzing about number 65 by McGwire as Ron Gant steps in. Left fielder batting .236. He has gone deep 23 times, driven in 59. Already they have seen what they came to. The continuing march toward history for Mark McGwire.
You know what you find so interesting, Dave, is that there's more pressure on the pitcher than there is McGwire. You throw a ball, you're getting booed out of your own home stadium.
Well, let alone last night hitting him with a pitch. This ball medium deep in left center field, and Marquise Grissom is there to call off Jackson. and retire Gant. In between, a base hit by Tatis, who comes home on number 65 by McGwire. St. Louis and the Brewers set to bat in the bottom half of the first inning. Their lineup will begin at second base with Fernando Vina. Mark Loretta is the first baseman batting second. Jeff Cirillo, another fine year. He is at third, batting third. Cleanup at right, Jeremy Burnitz. Marquise Grissom is in center batting fifth. The left fielder is Darren Jackson. Mike Matheny's behind the plate. He hits seventh. Jose Valentin is at short. And Scott Carl is batting ninth. With Mark McGwire telling Loretta all about number 65. It's really an odd sensation, I would think, for the opponents. And I think none more so evident than the Padres this week when Sosa had the grand slam and the fireworks went off in the Padres' own park, and the standing ovation and the curtain call from Padre fans given to Sosa. Very understandable. There's got to be a real strange feeling if you're out there, especially on your home field, seeing this type of outpouring for the opposition.
Yeah, I think a little more upsetting for the Padres because of the fact that they are in the pennant race. But with the Brewers here, it's part of baseball, and they're getting a chance to celebrate it. Plus, you got a lot of young ball players that have come up, get an opportunity to play in the big leagues right now. As we're getting a look at Abar on the hill here. Ken Merker stepping back with an injury, a little sore arm today.
Yeah, this is a late scratch for Tony La Russa, who had Kent Merker in his lineup, set to hit eighth, and he will not go. There had been some question about a blister on his pitching hand, but he had indicated that it shouldn't be the type of thing that would keep him out of the lineup. But as you see, Manuel Ibar taking his warm-ups to Eli Marrero. A little change in plans for the Cardinals. Manuel Ibar is 5-6 with a 6.37 ERA. This will be his 13th start. He's had 6 relief appearances, 70 2/3 innings, has allowed 80 hits, struck out 46. The opponent's hitting .287 against him. And the Cardinal defense with Ibar out, still warming up with Marrero behind the plate. McGwire, of course, at first. Pat Kelly is the second baseman. Luis Ordaz at short. Fernando Tatis is at third. And the outfield of Ron Gant, Brian Jordan, and Mark Little.
Well, it'll be interesting watching Ibar because he throws he'll throw the ball about 90, 91. He'll throw you a cut fastball that really runs in on the left-handers, and Brewers stacked with a lot of left-hand hitters. It'll be a good challenge for him today.
And the word on Merker is he did reopen the blister on his pitching hand, and that in his pregame warm-ups, the reason that it is Ibar on the mound, set to work to Fernando Vina. Starts him with a strike. Vina hitting .309, 7 home runs and 43 runs batted in. Not a very memorable year as a team for Milwaukee, but there's some individuals that have piled up some impressive numbers, and Fernando Vina right there in that company.
Well, Fernando Vina is a classic example of playing within yourself. He didn't try to go outside of his game and hit home runs. He'll spray the ball over the ballpark. He'll bunt. He'll do the little things, and as a result, ended up an all-star this year. It's a great lesson for all of us.
Got off to a terrific start out of the gate, 336 in April, and really hasn't slowed much since then. His only somewhat poor month was May, 273. Heating up again August at 367. 309 for the year. That one is down. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Ibar.
Well, Vina will put the ball in play. He's not afraid to hit with 2 strikes, and sometimes will even bunt with 2 strikes. As Tatis is really backed up at third base. There's a lot of things you got to watch with Fernando Vina.
Sprays that one into the crowd. Only 2 National Leaguers this year have been tougher to strike out, as Ibar works him 2-2. Greg Jeffries, while he was with the Phillies, and Eric Young with the Dodgers. The only 2 with better at bats to strikeout ratios than Vina. Ibar again set the 2-2. Right back up the middle, and coming on to make a diving catch is Brian Jordan.
Well, that's a great play by Brian Jordan, particularly because the ball here in Milwaukee, we were talking about this before the game, you got a lot of people wearing white T-shirts in the stands. It's hard to pick up off the bat, but a ball hit right at him. Now, Fernando jumps all over this. He knows right away that he hit it too hard. Jordan with a great jump and just stayed with that ball, and that's why he ends up diving. It's tough to read, and the ball at you is even harder to read, but particularly with the white shirts today.
I don't know, for a second I thought we might see mostly green shirts today, being a Packer Sunday, but not so. This is Mark Loretta at .318 for the year. 6 home runs, 50 runs batted in. Loretta every year as a Brewer a little bit better than the previous year, up from .287 a year ago. 5 homers, 47 RBIs. A little bit of improvement in the power numbers, but a lot of improvement in that .318 average.
An interesting thing about Loretta, he's playing first base today, but he's quite a shortstop. Minor leagues have played a lot of short, and actually the Brewers are considering him as a shortstop next year. Depending on what happens with Valentine there at short, they've got some options, but this guy's got great range, he's got a good arm, some good hands, and you can move around and play first base and still be able to play short. That says something about your offense.
That one coming inside to run it to 3 balls and a strike.
Not a whole lot of shortstops that can move over to first base and be in the lineup because of your bat. I can see Alex Rodriguez maybe moving to first because of his power, but that's what Loretta brings to the package, is his offense.
Not many since Ernie Banks, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he works the walk. Brewers, with 1 out, have Loretta aboard for Jeff Cirillo. And Cirillo is another one with a career year in progress. .331 average, up slightly from last year's .325, which was his career best. 14 home runs, that's 1 below the career high, actually, from 96 and 67 runs batted in. He is 4th in the National League with that .331 average.
And you'll see that a lot with this Brewer lineup because these guys are finally moving into that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year in the big leagues, where they're playing on a consistent basis, able to make adjustments. So the numbers will continue to go up.
Ibar starts him with a strike. Well, what the Brewers have tried to do is model themselves as their new park is built over the Cleveland Indian franchise a few years ago, when they were closing down their Cleveland Stadium history and preparing to move into Jacobs Field. They were trying to identify their core and which players to sign to long-term Brewer contracts. Cirillo obviously part of that. Loretta with his continued improvement also figuring into that group. But a man on deck, Jeremy Burnitz, as well. And then there are some that had previously been identified as core players that may have that status changing, and Valentine may be one of those because of the development of Loretta and his ability to play short.
And you got to factor in finances too. Valentine, shortstop with a little bit of power, 15 home runs this year. He had 20-some last year. He's going to be paid in that range, and the Brewers looking to maybe move him on just because of financial reasons, not necessarily ability.
Jeff Cirillo got his long-term deal after last year, when he was solid but not nearly as spectacular as he's been this year. This one is popped to short. Ordaz making the call in short left field for out number 2.
Ordaz taking up the tradition of the St. Louis shortstops. He's a little inconsistent still. He'll make the flashy play, but he's been kicking a few routine balls. That will come with being able to relax. A lot of times these young players, when the team's out of the race, get a chance to come play at about in front of 10 or 15,000. McGwire, you're sold out every night. A little more nervous, a little something different with 50,000 every night, trying to learn.
15,000 maybe for BP.
Yeah.
Which, to the disappointment of many, he did not take today. Burnitz sends that one deep but foul left side. Jeremy Burnitz at 261, but with 37 home runs. That's 10 better than his previous best from last year. And 123 runs batted in, the top figure for any left-handed hitter in the National League this year.
Well, what's interesting about Jeremy Brunitz is he's got a chance to play.
Aimed that one toward the hole, but not nearly enough on it. McGwire with the short toss to Ibar to end the Brewer half of the first. 2-0. McGwire has 65 already in the books today. Harold Reynolds back for the second inning at County Stadium. 2-0 Cardinals on a 2-run shot by Mark McGwire in the first, his 65th of the year. And Charles Dombrowski, the lucky recipient out in left field of number 65, 21-year-old from Wisconsin Rapids, has been identified as, at the moment at least, the possessor of that historic shot. Eli Marrero, the Cardinal catcher, leading off things here in the second against Scott Carl, who worked through a 10-pitch first inning. Also allowed the Tatis single ahead of the McGwire home run. 1 ball and 1 strike to Marrero at 258 with 4 homers and 20 RBIs.
Remember the guy who caught 63 from McGwire and didn't give it back and had this big list of things he wanted?
Yep.
It was absolutely hilarious talking about that today with a bunch of the players. The guy said, well, I want autographs for all my brothers and sisters. He only had 11. He wanted jerseys. I mean, it was unbelievable, all the stuff that he wanted on this list. I was crying looking at it.
Well, Marrero lining one right into the glove of Cirillo. Much the way Pat Kelly opened the first inning, lining one right at Loretta.
Well, you got to break them ball down. You see the nice stroke, stand down with it, but the whole key is alignment. You know, you set the defense properly. The pitcher throws the ball where he's supposed to. You're supposed to get a lot of line outs.
That is the idea.
Yes, it is.
Doesn't always work that way. Here's Ordaz, Luis at 189. Working on a 7-game hit streak, a modest 9 of 22 over those 7. 51st game of the year for Luis. Starting shortstop, batting 7th. So only 11 brothers and sisters. That they all want a jersey?
Yeah. Autographs, jerseys, just a couple bats each, no problem. For their kids, too.
Cirillo handles the chopper. Well, that's not much.
No.
Or so they thought.
That was just the beginning of the list. We got 9 innings to work. I'll finish it out. About 5 or 6 things on the list each inning.
Okay. It runs into several pages, apparently.
Yes.
Well, Big Mac has been remarkably forthcoming with just about all the requests that have come his way all season long. So here's Ibar batting in the 8-hole. What do you think of this La Russa experiment? I guess the design aimed at getting one more on base ahead of McGwire, the number 9 hitter, in this case Little, like in an American League lineup, being used as a second leadoff man.
Yeah, I liked the idea at first when he had Royce Clayton hitting in the 9 spot before Clayton got traded over to Texas, because you use that 9 spot like you would in the American League as the leadoff type of a hitter. We get a good look at the fastball, the nice hard swing by the pitcher. All pitchers are going to let it go now. They're going to air it out, try to hit that home run, not thinking about putting the ball in play. They want homers. But back to the thought of the hitting the pitcher in the 8 spot instead of the 9 spot, when you have the 9 spot used with a speed guy, it does loosen up that lineup and give you a few more options. And once the game gets started and turns over, it really works out to be a pretty good advantage. But that's Tony. He's a scientist. You know, he's figured things out.
Always in that lab working away. Is this the type thing that you would see other managers adapt? I mean, obviously, he's the only guy with a Mark McGwire.
Oh, my.
Ibar got all of that one. Deep and gone for Manuel Ibar. Second home run allowed by Carl. This one a little bit less expected than the first. And it is 3-0 Cardinals.
Well, I told you the pitchers are all going to swing for the fence. Dave, he caught one.
He got all of one.
He's giving the Dominican tap from Sammy Sosa.
First career home run, his 6th hit of the year. He's 6 of 23 now, and he's not ever going to forget this one. A stunned Darren Jackson looking up, running out of room just over the 362 mark. Something tells me we will not have that fan identified for us. And he will not have a list for Ibar to supply. How stunned was Tony La Russa?
See, the A spot's supposed to be that second cleanup hitter, right?
That is the idea.
That was it right there.
Here's Mark Little, 1-2 pitch from Carl. Swung right through it. And both of the first 2 innings featuring long balls by the Cardinals. The 2-run shot by Big Mac. Ibar's first career home run makes it 3-0. Having added to his lead with that home run, 3-0, works to Marquise Grissom. Center fielder leading off the second inning. He'll be followed by Darren Jackson and Mike Matheny. Grissom at 264 for the year. 8 homers, 58 RBIs. Last week, homered in back-to-back games, Tuesday and Wednesday. That got him up to 8 for the year. 1 ball and 1 strike from Ibar. Cardinals 7-4 last night, also jumping off to an early 3-0 lead. This hard shot on one hop to Ordaz and continues on to McGwire for the out.
Ordaz with a nice pick right there, keeping his glove down and reading that little short hop.
Grissom is retired. Darren Jackson, the left fielder, hitting .241, 4 homers and 19 RBIs. Jackson threw most of his career. Probably no better for his glove than his bat. Got in last night as a pinch hitter in the 8th and stayed in defensively in left field. Jackson to be followed by Mike Matheny. 0-1 pitch. Lined, and this one gets over the glove of Kelly at second base. Jackson chugging on in for a double as he finds the gap in right center.
That's just a great piece of base running right there by Darren Jackson. You know, we so often talk about you get a double out of the box right there, busting all the way, even on a line drive. A lot of times when a hitter will hit a line drive, he'll freeze right here thinking the guy will catch it. Well, Darren kept all the way through and hard. Jordan makes a nice play. Spins hard, comes up with a good throw, but Jackson's speed, he just outran the play and forced it into a double.
Never stopped, and he earned his 13th double of the year. So a Brewer in scoring position with 1 out for Mike Matheny, the catcher. Swings through strike 1. Matheny with an average of .237. 6 home runs, 27 runs batted in.
Remember seeing the footage of Matheny getting hit in the face? Fastball?
Yep. Frightening.
I always wondered how guys would bounce back.
Baseball driven in that right center gap, and Jordan and Little almost collide as finally it is brought in, and Jackson will take third.
That could have been dangerous. Talk about Matheny getting hit in the face being dangerous. Had Jordan run into Little, now we're looking at a former all-pro defensive back. He would have smoked him with that. Now, Jordan usually plays right field, and Ray Langford would be the center fielder. The communication here, center fielder has any ball he calls for, but what happens is the crowd is yelling so loud that it's tough to hear, and when you get a young center fielder, right fielder in the game, hadn't played much, he's concentrating on making sure he doesn't make a mistake and catch the ball.
Mark Little narrowly avoids disaster out there, and it's strike 1 to Jose Valentin, who has really taken a dip this year. .216 for a shortstop. Still good power numbers with 15 homers, but down for the second consecutive year from his peak of 24. in 96 when he drove in 95. Less than half that number driven in this year, 44 RBIs. So with those numbers for Valentin and the ones that we saw in the first inning from Loretta, at the shortstop position that they thought would be Jose's for the foreseeable future is all of a sudden in flux for the Brewers.
Well, also to Jose's defense, hitting eighth is an awful tough spot. I think it's the toughest place to hit in all of baseball, particularly in the National League when you got the pitcher coming up after you. And when you're a guy that's known for having power, even though he's a little guy, you're not going to get much to hit, especially when you have that pitcher hitting behind you. In the American League, you have him hitting eighth or somewhere in the lineup, and you got a 9-hitter behind you that handles the bat pretty good. You get a little more to hit. I think that's been his biggest problem, is not really having a lot to hit.
This one is driven well foul down the right side, and it's 1-2. So would the 8th hole be tougher than batting 9th for the Cardinals behind a pitcher? Would there be a little bit of a stigma with that, especially when LaRussa first went to that experiment?
Well, I think he went to it with Royce Clayton, though, and that's a little bit different than if he went to it with, say, Ordaz or somebody like that. Ordaz, a young player just learning to hit in the big leagues. But Royce Clayton, an all-star before, and an established big leaguer, putting him in the 9 slot, he understood it. Well, I got 1 hitter, 2 and 3 coming up after me, and it gave him a little more to work with. So I don't think there was much a stigma as this guy can't hit, as maybe if it was a young guy just coming up and they made that type of move.
Ibar ready with the 2-2 pitch, which is foul back to the mezzanine. Royce Clayton has really transformed the Rangers' infield defense, taking over shortstop for Kevin Elster there. And 2 of the 3 Rangers who were involved in that trade, which also sent Todd Stottlemyre to Arlington from St. Louis, are in the lineup today with Tatis at third, Little and right, the player to be named. Low, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Now here's the difference with 3-2 count, 2 outs, with Valentin hitting in the 8th spot with the pitcher on deck. You don't get that fastball right here. I'd be very surprised if they gave him a fastball to hit. You're going to get some change-up, breaking ball, or something off the plate. You're not going to get that groove, let's go after him fastball.
Here is the 3-2, and he did work him very carefully. They're on the corners for the pitcher, Scott Carl.
So that's the difference, and a lot of times you end up chasing that pitch and ends up being a bad at bat.
So for LaRussa, chance to get out of it if Ibar can retire his opposite number, and Scott Carl is a mere 0.75 for the year. 4 for 53. Does not have an RBI, but here's a chance here to get his Brewers on the board. He takes strike 1. Brewers trailing 3-0 in the bottom of the 2nd. Aaron Jackson at third after his double, moved up on the fly by Matheny. Valentin on first after the walk. That one misses away. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You know, it's really interesting, Dave, watching the Cardinals defense, because really these guys are all new players for the Cardinals. Pat Kelly's not their everyday second baseman. Jordan's out of position. You got the right fielder out there just learning, just getting an opportunity to play today. And so the coaches are constantly moving them. And so every pitch you can see guys making adjustments. They're looking in the dugout and waving them 1 step this way or 1 step to the left or right. And they're constantly moving around.
Well, out of this lineup today for the Cardinals, maybe 4 you would have figured to be here if you were looking from the vantage point of April or May into September. Marrero, McGwire, Gant, and Jordan. Ibar, the emergency starter, with a strikeout of Carl and a foul tip to get out of trouble. Brewers with a threat. Get nobody across in the 2nd, and through 2 in County Stadium. 3-0 Cardinals.
1-1.
Cardinals in the 3rd inning set to go with the top of their order with a 3-0 advantage over Scott Carl and the Brewers. It'll be Kelly, Tatis, and McGwire. Tatis singling in the first ahead of the home run by McGwire. So already they have seen what they came to see, but they're going to stick around for a little bit more. As long as he is in this game, these fans will be in these seats. A crowd of 54,000 plus last night. The 9th largest crowd in Brewers history. Largest of the year. Largest, in fact, in 6 years. All to see this man, who now leads Sosa by 2 as they get underway in Wrigley. Cubs in the Reds. Breaking ball misses to Pat Kelly, who lined first in the first.
Pulling into the parking lot today, I thought it was a Packer game out there. Everybody was tailgating. I was like, man, hold it. Aren't the Brewers out of the race? Oh, yeah, Mark McGwire's in town. That's right.
Well, a lot of people have remarked on the fact that this man has brought in an SRO crowd on a football Sunday. Now, they're not in Green Bay today. The Packers are in Cincinnati, but that's where most attentions are on autumn Sundays. This one is very deep to left, and Jackson looks up, and another one gone. 3 home runs by the Cardinals. 3 home runs for the year for Pat Kelly, and it is 4-0.
Well, Pat Kelly has some juice in his bat now. He has some pop for the little guy, getting into that one right there. Got a pitch out over the plate. Now it's a breaking ball. Before we saw Pat Kelly go to the right side, you can see him start to freeze his swing and come on through. He likes to drive the ball to right field, and he'll pull a breaking pitch, and that's exactly what he got right there, a breaking ball, and drove it into the seats.
Those coveted seats out there in the left field bleachers, almost dangerous. They're flying out.
I'm telling you.
So often and early this afternoon. And Brewers pitching coach out for a word, Don Rowe, in discussion with Carl. Left field bleachers, the first section to sell out for this series for obvious reasons. And Charles Dombrowski, the luckiest of that group, he caught the McGwire home run, but since then Ibar and Kelly have followed suit with a pair of solo shots to make it 4-0. Here's Tatis.
It almost doesn't benefit you to get a seat up close in left field. You want to get one maybe mid to even back to the top. What do you think?
Yeah, I got to think for McGwire, the higher the better out there. How many home runs have you seen him hit this year that just barely cleared the wall? Not many.
62. Number 62 is probably the only one.
Big cut and a miss by Fernando Tatis. 2 balls and a strike. Fernando, as a Ranger, showed quite a bit of power in the minor leagues, and even after he came up to the Rangers late last year. 32 homers all told between Tulsa and Texas in '97. He's got 7 as a Cardinal. This one will be almost in his tracks for Darren Jackson, the first out here in the 3rd. Ready with the 1-0 pitch and working away again to Mark McGwire. 2 balls and no strikes.
The difference between a left-hander and a right-hander trying to get in is you end up leaving that ball like that one there over the plate. A right-hander, we saw him get hit last night, is more out to probably hit him, whereas the left-hander is going to leave that ball out over the plate trying to get inside.
Mark McGwire last night in the first inning hit by Steve Woodard on the shoulder and then proceeded to strike out 4 times. 2-1 pitch, and excuse me, single through the unguarded hole on the right side. The second baseman Vigna was behind second base. funny thing is, Harold, this looks exactly like that homer in the box score.
It's a beautiful thing, a base hit. It was funny, we were talking earlier. I said, Mark, man, you're doing all this damage with, you're hitting 290. And he said, the other day I drove in 2 runners with a base hit, and everybody was like, what is wrong with you?
Major disappointment.
He's like, I got a single.
A mere single. That doesn't satisfy anybody anymore. This is just foul off the bat of Brian Jordan.
I think even Mark would like to have that one back right there, though.
Didn't get his money's worth. Well, you spent about a half hour or so with him before the game. How would you gauge his mood and his readiness for what he has termed a circus to finally come to a close this week?
I think he's looking forward to the end of the season, but he's enjoying it. He's handled it really well. I think he's kind of taken back by the fact that we cut in on every one of his at-bats. We're here today doing the game. He said neither one of these teams are in it. What's everybody doing? And that's what's really taking him back, but he appreciates it. I think he's a little bit surprised by it, though. And he hasn't, we talked a lot about what he's accomplished already, the numbers he's put up, how unbelievable the numbers are. And he hasn't really, it hasn't really sunk in yet. And he said, you know, the amazing thing is all the walks. I don't think I would have ever thought I'd be able to do what I've done with the amount of walks that I've had.
He's got 156 walks, a National League record. And the Major League record, 170 by Babe Ruth, may be out of reach. Cirillo to second for 1, and not in time to double up Jordan. Fans disagreeing, but Jordan is aboard with 2 gone.
Well, give Brian Jordan some credit right there for just flying down the line. Now, he just, that's got me shocked right here. He got down the line so fast. We talked about him being an all-pro running back, but watch how quick he gets down. And now Vina with the nice turn. He beat it. He beat it on top of the base, but really hustling to get down that line.
So 2 outs now for Ron Gant, who takes ball 1. The end of the first inning ended it with a fly ball to center.
Talking to Ron Gant earlier, he said, I'm finally healthy, and now I got 1 week to play. Can't believe this.
Showing up at the tail end of a good party. Pulls up, they peel down to first. No go, 2 balls and no strikes.
The last week of the season was always the toughest week to focus in when your team was out of it. You knew the vacation was coming. It's 1 week away, but you want to try to just push yourself to that next last 10, 12 at-bats and finish with a good season and carry it into next year. It was always a tough challenge. And believe me, I played on enough teams that were out of it coming down the stretch.
Well, that's because you came along after the salary drive era. It used to be September was when you were making your money for the next year in the era of the 1-year non-guaranteed contracts.
Right. Yeah, I got in there just in time when they started giving out those guarantees.
2-1 pitch. There's another one belted. Very deep gone. Ron Gant with number 24, a 2-run shot, and they are flying out of County Stadium today, left and right. Second home run of the inning, and the 4th served up already today by Carl.
Once again, that breaking ball, he's leaving that breaking ball out over the plate, and these guys are absolutely hammering it. A healthy Ron Gant gets a fastball in his eyes and drove this ball a long ways. Get a chance to see the conclusion. There was no doubt about it. But Scott Carl's problem, Dave, has been leaving the ball out over the plate, the breaking ball in particular.
410 feet, the estimate on the shot by Gant.
When you hit a ball 410 feet, I guess there is no doubt about it, huh?
None whatsoever on that one. 1 ball and 1 strike to Eli Marrero. All those fans out left field, just they're all going to leave happy, I think. At this rate, they're all going to have a souvenir.
Boy.
They're not all going to be McGwire souvenirs, but already they have had 4 sail into their section. 2 here in the 3rd inning. This one is pop foul back over the screen. 2-2 to Marrero. 24th for Gant. 60 and 61 in the RBI column. Kelly started the inning with his third. Ibar his only. And in the first, McGwire his 65th. Blooper short right. Giving chase is Vigna. Backs out for out number 3. But 3 more score against an ineffective Scott Carl on a couple more gopher balls. Through 2.5. It is 5-0 Cardinals. 2-0 is their lead, and the top of the order for the Brewers, who need to get something going here. They've had only 1 hit in the first 2 against emergency starter Manny Ibar. So they'll go with Vigna, Loretta, and Cirillo at the bottom of the 3rd inning. 4 long balls already sailing out into the left field bleachers. Vigna started things off with a liner to center, which Jordan took on a forward dive back in the first. Began today at 309. That dropped him a point to 308. The Brewer pitching staff came in having allowed the 3rd most homers in the National League, and they're up to 179 served up with these 4. Vigna going after the first pitch. Tatis on the run, ends up only about 15 feet away from Mark McGwire, and a quick out number 1. Tatis has made the occasional spectacular defensive play at third, and what they continue to work with him on is the throw on the routine play. A lot of times if he has too much time, that's when he's going to cause McGwire to come off the bag or make the toughest stretch if he does stay on the bag. Here's Mark Loretta. He walked in the first. One of 3 base runners allowed by Ibar. The only hit was the double last inning by Darren Jackson, who got as far as 3rd. It was a Valentine walk. At that point, the pitcher was up, and Carl struck out, and that was that for the only Brewer threat. 2 balls and no strikes to Loretta. In there, 2-1. Loretta at 318. This progression for him, if you go back to 95, has been very steady. 260 in 95. 19 points better than that 2 years ago. Up another 8 points to 287 last year. And this the breakthrough. Tatis on a hop for out number 2. Sunday night football on the ESPN tonight. Philadelphia visiting the Arizona Cardinals, 8:15 Eastern from Sun Devil Stadium. As Bobby Hoying and Jake Plummer, two promising young quarterbacks, hook up. ESPN and ABC, your exclusive networks for primetime NFL football.
Dave, great example of Fernando Tatis fielding the ball, setting himself, and making the throw. A lot of times when you move, he's the guy who's played some short and some third. When you move around, you have a tendency to pick up the runner after you field the ball to see where they're at. Get out of that habit. You just get it and throw it. And that's what he's working on now, just getting the ball and just getting rid of it, throwing it consistently the same every time. The one guy that comes to mind is Sean Dunston when he was with the Cubs. You know, he could never have the touch throw. He'd just come up and gun it every time, and he became a consistent fielder and thrower by getting the good habit of doing that.
And for a lot of guys, that remains a career-long habit. A lot of people, that's tough to shake, to get that tunnel vision that you're talking about, thinking only about your target. 1 ball and a strike. They appeal down to the first base umpire, Ryan Gorman. Tatis has made some noticeable strides since the trade from Texas. 1-1 to Jeff Cirillo. Over the screen, 1-2. If he gets aboard, Jeremy Burnitz is in the on-deck circle for the Brewers.
Ibar has really settled down. He's got ahead of the hitters, getting a combination of ground balls and strikeouts. That's what you want from a power pitcher.
2 pitch also out of play. There's a school of thought that if you're in Ibar's situation, the late scratch eliminating Merker, that it's probably better to go in with no advance notice because you don't have time to get too keyed up about it. Just go in with any warning. Take it as a long relief appearance, and he has been almost spotless so far. Fairly deep left center. Calling for it will be Gant, and he works his first 1, 2, 3 inning. Through 3 full in Milwaukee. 6-0 Cardinals. Has seen enough of Scott Carl, his starter, being pulled after 3, trailing 6-0. He gave up 4 homers on 6 hits with 3 runs, struck out only 1. And the new pitcher making his major league debut is Rod Henderson, who was called up from AAA Louisville earlier this week, September 14th. He was 11-5 for the Redbirds there this year, 22 appearances, all but 3 of them were starts at 2.97 ERA, 121 innings, 68 strikeouts, and 39 walks. Henderson for Carl here in the 4th inning, and he'll work to Ordaz, to be followed by the pitcher Ibar and Mark Little.
Well, he's got a free and easy motion. He's going to throw you a fastball, a slider, and he has an overhand curveball. Almost looks like a knuckle curve, and it's going to be interesting to see how the big league hitters pick that up, because you can really see a big difference in his arm motion when he throws that curveball as opposed to the other 2 pitches that he throws.
So how must this be? You make your major league debut with 50,000 plus in the house, already jazzed after seeing Mark McGwire hit his 65th homer in the 1st, and you're down 6-0.
And your scouting report as a right-handed pitcher is to bust McGwire in and then try to get him out of the way. Now, what happens to be if you're the guy who hits him and hurts him?
I want to think about that. That's not supposed to be part of the plan. 1 ball and a strike.
You better have your control down. You want to start busting him in.
SRO here last night. Going to be very close to that here today. Largest crowd of the season last night. 2 balls and a strike to Luis Ordaz, who grounded to 3rd his first time up in the 2nd. Cardinals have saved their best for the end of the season this year. That one grounded to short, handled by Valentin for out number 1. Cardinals well on their way to their 5th consecutive win. They have had a couple of previous 5-game winning streaks. Nothing better than 5 straight for them this year. June 18th through the 22nd, August 4th through the 9th. They are 13-5 in the month of September, which I guess might indicate that they've kind of gotten caught up in all the McGwire mania themselves as a group. It'd be hard not to.
Well, the beauty of it is it's easy to come to the ballpark and be ready to play. But when you're coming and trying to perform in front of 5,000 people, it's a little bit different when you know what, we're going to have 50,000 there today. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the adrenaline is already going to be supplied for you just by showing up. They appeal again to Gorman down at first. No go, 1-1. Ibar reaches out. Will not follow up his home run in kind as Vina squeezes out number 2. Well, another new record that the Cardinals are setting. Highest attendance for a team totally out of any sort of pennant race or wild card race. Sellout after sellout. Everywhere they go in the month of September. Sold out at home where they will wind up their season. Mark Little drives 1 foul. Home against the Astros Tuesday and Wednesday. Montreal to close out the season at Busch Thursday through Sunday. So this is the last road game of '98.
Mark Little, player to be named later, came over in the Stoudemire trade. Now listen to this, Dave. His American Legion team that he played for.
That is handled in foul territory by Loretta. Hang on to that thought.
We'll finish that.
It's a great thought. We will finish that. promise you. 1-2-3 inning in the debut for Henderson. 6-0 Cardinals. The fourth inning for the Brewers. Grounded first to the pitcher covering in the first. A breakthrough year for Jeremy. 37 home runs and counting. They ripped that one out of play. 1 ball and a strike. And as we said in the first, 123 RBIs, tops in the National League for any left-handed hitter. It is a career high for Jeremy, and he's just the 3rd left-handed hitter in Brewers history to have 100 RBI or more. Cecil Cooper and Ben Ogilvy, pretty good company, the other two.
When I think about Jeremy Burnett, the one thing about that, Dave, is he's got a chance to play every day. Left-hander, right-hander, whatever. They've thrown him in the lineup, and he's produced. I remember speaking with him earlier back in June when he got off of that hot home run tear in the beginning of April and May. And I asked him what was he doing differently. And he said, well, left-handers, I'm really hitting the ball the other way more. And right-handers, I'm just going up there and letting it go. But the main thing was that he has had a chance to play against both lefties and righties. Earlier in his career, whenever he got to the big leagues, they'd always platoon him like they do with a lot of young players. And he only got a chance to face right-handed pitching.
Well, with the 37 homers, he's the first Brewer left-hander to hit 30 or more since Cooper in '83. Strike 3. And the second strikeout recorded by Ibar. You get Burnett's here in the 4th. Only the 1 hit allowed by Ibar so far. Chasing that one down. That hit was delivered by the man on deck. A double in the 2nd inning by Darren Jackson. Marquise Grissom grounded to short in the 2nd. Walked 2. Loretta in the 1st. Valentin in the 2nd. He has retired 5 in a row since that Valentin walk.
He's really been remarkable at moving the ball in and out. He's shown some great composure. He's hit the glove, and he's got ahead of hitters, and that's why he's got a 1-hitter working right now.
Well, he doesn't look like a guy with a 6.37 ERA.
No, he really doesn't. And, you know, we were discussing this right before the last half inning. It might be better sometimes to just come out like he came into the game here, unbeknownst to himself, just go get him. And that's how you pitch in the minor leagues. Sometimes you get up here and you start thinking way too much. We don't want to throw this guy this pitch. You want to do this. You want to try to set the guy up, put him away with your breaking ball. And you give a lot of guys a lot too much to think about instead of saying, look, here's your best pitch, your fastball and your slider. You go get them. And that's what we've seen from him today. No thinking, no scouting report. Just go get them.
Free and easy. 2-1 pitch back to the screen. Well, as Yogi said, 90% of this game is half mental. Maybe Ibar bearing that out. McGwire, not much action defensively so far. Has only had 1 ball in his direction. Breaking ball low to run the count full. Brewers trailed early last night, came back, and then fell 7-4. Cardinals have scored in every inning but the 4th so far today. Deep right center field. Going back is Jordan. Off the wall at the 392 sign, and a double for the Brewers. Marquise Grissom with 1 out of the 4th.
That was just a nice piece of hitting. This is actually a pretty good pitch. Sometimes hitters just hit good pitches. Now look at what location on this ball. Down and out, and grip just stays inside out. Drives it into the gap. It's a good piece of hitting.
Second double. Grissom with 1 out at second. As the author of the first double, Darren Jackson, takes ball 1. 27th double of the year for Marquise Grissom. Most of the appearances for Jackson this year have not been complete games. This is his 110th game, but he has averaged less than 2 at-bats per appearance. Late inning replacement last night, but he gets to start in left field today. And a grounder up the middle. for a base hit. Jackson is 2 for 2. Grissom's headed home, and the Brewers are on the board.
Once again, not a bad pitch. Now, Darren Jackson looked like he was even trying to go to the right side with this ball. He got a little fastball that was sinking. And what that's telling me is Ibar might be getting a little bit tired, Dave. He's moving into some zones now where he hasn't pitched this much, and he doesn't have the same zip on the ball. Right here, look at this ball sinking down, stayed in the middle. Earlier in the game, he was able to overpower the hitters on that pitch, get the pop-up on that particular pitch. And even the ball that Grissom hit, he would have got a fly out on that, but now he doesn't have the same zip. He's starting to get a little bit tired.
Well, he was ripping through the order until the shot by Grissom. 20th RBI of the year for Jackson. Here's Matheny, who flied to right his first time up. And strike one to the Brewer catcher, Mike Matheny.
Plus, the other thing that's starting to happen is that now you get a second time through the lineup and the chance to see him again. A lot of times when a pitcher comes out of the bullpen, you may only see him one time, and that's it. And you don't ever get a chance to make an adjustment off him. And you may not see him again until next September.
Well, and as a hitter, the Brewers were prepared mentally to face Merker.
A left-hander. So you got two different types of pitchers. You get a good look here at the fastball. A little sink to it. Now, he did not have that sink earlier in the game, so it's a sign that he's getting a little bit tired, and it could work to his advantage, and also a situation here you want to get a ground ball.
Well, down in 3 pitches goes Matheny. Strikeout number 3 for Ibar. 2 outs in the 4th for Jose Valentin. Valentin walked his first time up. Brewers have Bronswell Patrick up and getting loose. He made a brief appearance last night. One of their 3 pitchers, all of whom struck out, Mark McGwire. Valentin backing up Gant onto the track in left field for the 3rd out. But the Brewers break through with the run on the double by Grissom and the single by Darren Jackson. We are through 4 in Milwaukee, and it's 6-1 Cardinals. 5th at County Stadium, the Cardinals 6, the Brewers 1, and the top of the order to face Rod Henderson, who worked a 1-2-3 4th. His major league debut, he will face Pat Kelly, Fernando Tatis, and Mark McGwire here in the 5th. Kelly homered last time up. Lines this one foul. He lined to first his first time. He has hit it on the nose twice. And last time he hit number 3 for the year. McGwire already has 65 in the books today. A 2-run shot in the first. And he will bat in this inning. The breaking ball misses. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, that's a great shot of McGwire in the dugout. So often you wonder what is the guy doing right there. He's studying the pitcher. He's getting an idea of what his release points are. He's getting a good look at him before he even gets up to the plate. Now you move to the on-deck circle. You're a little bit closer, and you start to mirror when you want to pick up the arm, what pitch you see, getting yourself ready to hit. That's how you get yourself ready. And that's what McGwire's doing. And that's another reason he's so successful. He could be sitting at the other end of the bench, grab his bat, run up there, and get ready to hit. It's ready.
We welcome our audience from the rain delay at Wrigley Field in Chicago to County Stadium in Milwaukee. Dave Barnett and Harold Reynolds. Sold-out house at County Stadium of 50,000 plus has already seen what they came to see. Mark McGwire going deep, which he did in the very first inning, his 65th of the year, a 2-run shot, scoring Fernando Tatis ahead of him. Pat Kelly leads off here in the 5th, going down on strikes. First major league strikeout recorded by Rod Henderson, who is on in relief of Scott Carl, the Brewer starter, who served up plenty of long balls. Not only the 65th to McGwire, but one to Manny Ibar, the emergency starting pitcher, who stepped in for Kent Merker for the Cardinals. One to Kelly, and another one, a 2-run shot to Ron Gant in the 4th inning.
It was interesting, the pitch that he struck Kelly out on the breaking ball, that was the first one that he has shown. Now, he's shown the fastball and the slider, moving the fastball in and out, but that was the first breaking pitch that any Cardinal hitter had seen off him, and he froze Pat Kelly to get him out on the strike.
2-0 pitch to Tatis is popped up. Short left field, calling off Valentine is Darren Jackson for out number 2, and here comes Big Mac. McGwire is 2 for 2 with 2 completely different at-bats. The homer, 420 plus to left in the first, and then an excuse-me check swing, base hit through a completely open hole on the right side in the third, with the second baseman Vigna playing directly behind the bag. So the Mac-o-meter up to 65 and counting. And they have that same shift on with 3 infielders on the left side and only Loretta, the first baseman, on the right side. Another deep ball. Left center. Gone. And it is a ground rule double ruled by the second base umpire Bob Davidson off the railing in left center. The scramble had already erupted among the fans out there, thinking they had number 66. McGwire thought so too, and he had rounded second before the ruling by Davidson that it was a ground rule double.
Well, he's saying it was fan interference. That one of the fans that actually reached over. Now you can see the bar where the young man's sitting on, the yellow line. He said somebody reached over and therefore causing fan interference and would have hit the fence as the umpire's ruling. Get a good look at it here.
Obviously extra security supplied by County Stadium here. There's the cut, and McGwire pretty convinced, it looked like from the get-go, that he had enough on this one.
I don't know if I agree with that.
That's on top of that railing.
Well, it looked like it was out, and then as the fan leaned back in, I don't know about that. They might have taken one away from Big Mac right there.
Looking good on that angle. Let's take one more look. Was this 66 or not? And reaches up, but that is well above that railing.
I got to believe that ball's out of the ballpark. Wow.
Well, we'll have to see how that reverberates through history, depending on where he and Sosa end up. Here is Brian Jordan with 2 outs, and McGwire at second.
Now, Dave, watch the white shirt. The fan throws a white shirt in front of the ball, and this might be what the umpire got distracted with. Did you see the white T-shirt come over? The ball actually landed in a white T-shirt, and there, that gives you a different perspective right there, and I think that might be what confused him.
Right field, this will hop in front of Burnitz, and here comes McGwire. The throw by Jeremy Burnitz to the plate is not in time. So McGwire does come around to score just later than he thought he was going to. On the RBI by Jordan, it is 7-1 Cardinals.
Well, I've talked about all year a complete ball player that Mark McGwire is. Now, we've got so wrapped up in his home runs, but he does a great job of base running. Got himself in a good position. Now, he's off and running with 2 strikes, but watch the slide. When you come home, you want to slide through the plate, through the catcher. You see him digging all the way. He doesn't slide to the plate. You slide through it, and that's what made him safe right there. You see the nice hard slide. Great base running by Mark McGwire.
Big cut and a miss by Ron Gant, who homered last time up, his 24th of the year, a 2-run shot.
Dave, back to the homer, man.
And it was a homer. I think pretty much everybody who's seen that replay in agreement. Would have been the 5th already of the day by the Cardinals, and the 2nd from McGwire. Now at the moment he's got a 2-home-run lead on Sosa. Depending on where they end up, we'll just wonder whether that is the one that may end up costing McGwire the ultimate record. One ball and 2 strikes to Gant. this chase through the history books has been really remarkably controversy-free for the most part. That has changed here today.
Yes, it has. But the one thing, Mark McGwire is really on his swing. You know, he did not have a good swing the last couple days. Today, he's had some nice strokes. He had the check swing, obviously, that was not a good approach. But the two balls that the two home runs, the one being that counted, but he's had some good swings. Oh, my.
There's a good swing again by Gant. Another one sailing out to left field for Ron Gant, who has back-to-back two-run shots as the Cardinals continue their personal game of home run derby.
The tough thing about having McGwire in the home run race, the pitchers, they get keyed up to pitch to him too. And then after McGwire's at bat, you can obviously see the letdown. And Henderson leaves the pitch over the plate, and Gant just smoked this slider. And he leaves one hanging, and he just jumped on it. Ron Gant saying before the game, Harold, I'm healthy, but it's the last week of the season. What a shame. He's showing what he can do when he is healthy.
He is making the most of what time he's got today. 2 home runs, 4 runs batted in. This one just over 400 feet as Eli Marrero pops out when foul, 0-2. 5 home runs by the Cardinals. Should probably be 6. McGwire's ruled a double here in the 5th. He did finally come around on the RBI by Jordan, who scored ahead of the 25th of the year by Gant. And it is 9-1 Cardinals, well on their way to a season-best 5th consecutive win.
And Mark's probably sitting there going, you know the worst thing about all that? I'm going to be asked this question all day about that ball. You think it got out, Mark? What did you think? What were you thinking?
Well, I tell you what, if he and Sosa end up tied, he's going to be asked that question all the rest of his life.
Oh, yeah.
It will reverberate. 2-2 pitch is into the upper deck.
And I can hear his answer now. All I can do is hit the ball, folks.
He did his job.
I did my job.
Five homers for the Cardinals, the 3rd time this year they've had 5 as a team. Into center field, Grissom retreats a bit, has the 3rd out. Well, the inning began incident-free. Kelly and Tatis were retired before McGwire thought he had parked number 66. Ruled a double. They still get 3 runs out of it, and it is 9-1 Cardinals. This is the one that got away. About it, Mark McGwire, in our minds, robbed of his 66th home run of the year, ruled fan interference, a ground rule double, and one more look. Let's just slow it down almost frame by frame to show exactly where this ball is caught, above that yellow railing. It's a home run.
It's easy to see from here. Now, Bob Davidson's on the run looking out there trying to catch this ball, so it's a little tougher for him to pick that up. I'm sitting here and slow down, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm the one making the call on history, I'm giving him the homer. They can yell at me all you want for giving the guy a home run, but I think I would have just said, hey, homer.
Under the circumstances, you would think that would be human nature to err not on that side of caution. This is Greg Martinez pinch hitting for Henderson. Brewers need to get something going against the emergency starter Ibar, who has set them down on 3 hits. The only run scoring in the 4th. Grissom on a double ahead of the single by Darren Jackson.
Now, had the game not been 9-1, we'd probably get a chance to see this kid bunt. He can flat out fly. Fastest guy in the organization. But Tatis is playing back. McGwire is playing back because you're expecting a guy in a 9-1 ball game to swing the bat.
3-2 pitch back into the screen. Now, if that fan is leaning over the yellow railing, even if he catches it higher than the railing, if he is actually technically over the field of play, that would be interference. It did look like he was leading. That's the only other possible aspect to that call, as Martinez takes the walk to lead off the fifth. There's the yellow railing.
Now you can see where the fans are, where they stand back. There's nobody allowed actually laying on the yellow to lean over. So they already start back about 3 or 4 feet behind the regular fence anyway. But I think what threw Davidson off was the white shirt that the other fan threw over there and actually caught the ball in. I think that's what threw his judgment off.
I don't think anybody, maybe a 7-footer, could lean that far over that inner fence and actually get above the warning track. It would seem an impossibility. Foul ball by Vina, but the ruling. The second base umpire Bob Davidson obviously stands as a double for McGwire. So the lead over Sosa remains 2 as the Cubs and the Reds sit out a rain delay in Wrigley Field. Vina has the bat fly into danger territory. The first row right by the Brewer dugout, and I think everybody's okay. Hearts are beating a little faster, though.
That's a wake-up call, no doubt about it. A lot of young people down there, too.
Well, I'm glad they could smile about it. That was dangerous for a second.
You know, I've seen more bats this year fly out of guys' hands. Now watch Vina on the breaking ball. He's pulled. You see the top hand throw the bat into the stands. That happens when you get a lot of warm weather like we've had this year. The batting gloves get a little more moisture than normal, and the pine tar doesn't seem to grip on the bat. And that's where you get the result of a lot of bats slipping out of players' hands this year.
And it is really steamy today. Mid-80s, slight chance of rain later in the afternoon. On the corner for strike 3, and 1 out. Vina retired for the 3rd consecutive time with 1 aboard here in the 5th. One more look at what almost he headed somebody over there. Oh, let her keep it, don't you think?
Yeah, she gets to keep it, but he'll probably give her another bat.
She'll get a reasonable facsimile, not that exact weapon. Here's Mark Loretta, 0 for 1, walked in the 1st and grounded to 3rd. Ibar trying to get back on his game. At one point, it set down 5 in a row before Grissom and Jackson. In the 4th, had their double followed by the single to get the only Brewer run aboard. This one hugging the line in right, headed to the corner and foul. 0-2. Loretta last year taking advantage of some time because of injuries. Valentin with a broken finger missed some time. Vina with a broken ankle. Had a good year and has turned this into really a great year with the average at 317.
Very solid. I don't mean to sound redundant, but playing time is so vital, particularly in baseball as opposed to any other sport, because you have to make adjustments with each at bat in each game.
Loretta down on strikes. Ibar back-to-back Ks, Vina and Loretta, who will be followed by Jeff Cirillo.
Now here's a different pitch from Ibar. He got the little slider. It didn't break. Sometimes you see it as a hitter coming out of his hand, and you know it's a breaking ball, and you start to approach, and if the ball doesn't break, you're fooled. And that's what happened right there to Loretta.
Too late to do anything about it.
Nope, the ball didn't break where it was supposed to.
Ibar still with Martinez aboard at first, and now 2 outs. Has retired Cirillo both times. A pop to short and a fly ball to left. Outside part of the plate. Cirillo came in 4th in the National League in hitting, tied for 5th, 190 hits. He has a real big last week of the season, an outside chance, I suppose, at 200 hits. On base percentage 7th, 412 coming in. He's behind 0-2. Cirillo 3 days away from his 29th birthday. Martinez hoping to move along. 52,831. A couple thousand below last night's totals. Still one of the top crowds of the year at County Stadium.
This is with the Packers on TV.
That's right. That's what has a lot of people shocked here. Although, think about it, how many would be here even if the Packers were playing in Green Bay? They're on the road today. I would think the McGwire draw is going to pack this place regardless. If the Packers were playing across the street, it should pack this place, as it has. And the 3-game series putting in around 150,000 in the County Stadium. Somebody at some point will total up the economic impact of Mark McGwire around the major leagues on this history tour. Cirillo trying to hold up, and does. 2-2.
The other thing that's interesting about this whole Brewers coming back to the National League, now they play the Cardinals, they play the Cubs. These were teams that they traditionally had great rivalries with, and speaking to one of the ushers today, he said it has really brought back a new excitement to Milwaukee.
Which,
being
of course,
able to have those rivalries.
Was National League City to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
County Stadium was brand spanking new, and they had the Braves in the early 50s. 2-2 is chopped foul. So there's still a lot of National League fans from the Braves days that have stuck around, and the Braves were here, of course, until the mid-60s when they moved to Atlanta. Brewers came here in 70, originally the Seattle Pilots for 1 year, 1969. Moved into County Stadium, which will see its final year of activity next year. This Millard Park will be ready for the 2000 season. They counted down day by day on a scoreboard outside County Stadium. 550 plus days left on the construction schedule for Millard Park. And Harold, we talked about the impact that is having on the roster building process for the Brewers. They're trying to identify the core group of players that they want signed long-term, a la the Indians when they moved into Jacobs Field. So that is also an ongoing story with this franchise. 3-2 pitch. Strike 3, and striking out the side is Manny Ibar, who has been rock solid for the Cardinals, stepping in for the injured Merker. Still 9-1. On for the Milwaukee Brewers, it is Valerio de los Santos who comes on in relief of Rod Henderson. Henderson in his major league debut went 2 innings, a 1-2-3 fourth, followed by an eventful fifth. He set down Kelly and Tatis before the controversial ground rule double by McGwire. Jordan's RBI single, Gant's 2-run homer, so 3 runs on 3 hits allowed by Henderson as de los Santos warms up here in the 6th inning, set to face Ordaz. Pitcher scheduled to hit second, Ibar. We'll see if the pinch hitter may come out for him, and then bottom of the order, Mark Lipper.
De Los Santos throws a fastball and a split. He doesn't really have much of a breaking ball. He will go with that fastball and splitter and hopefully try to get ahead with guys moving his fastball in and out so he can set up that split as an out pitch.
This for De Los Santos is his 12th appearance. No wins or losses, but a 3.10 ERA, 20 in the 3rd innings, only 11 hits. The opponent batting average just 159. He has 17 strikeouts in those 20-plus innings, and has walked only 2. He called August 13th from AAA Louisville. Down there only about 10 days. Made his major league debut July 31st. After being called up from AA El Paso. Originally a non-drafted free agent, signed at 93 by the Brewers, and he will look to the shortstop Luis Ordaz to lead off things here in the 6th inning for the Cardinals. On top 9-1 with a barrage of 5 home runs against Carl and Henderson. Ordaz 0 for 2, is grounded to third, grounded to short. And the ball's just behind 0-2, back over the screen.
It will be interesting to watch the transformation of Ordaz because he really has his arms locked against his body, and he blocks himself off positional-wise. He's real close stance, arms close to his body. I think as he gets more playing time and makes adjustments, you see those arms raise up a little bit, give him a little more freedom. You see where so crouched up and tight in his body, that's all he's going to get right there is ground balls. That's one of the reasons he's hitting 150, 187 going into that at bat right there.
Valentin to Loretta for that chopper, the first out here in the 6th. Monday Night Football on ABC featuring the Dallas Cowboys without Troy Aikman. Jason Garrett gets their start at quarterback at the New York Giants in East Rutherford. Giants have won 7 straight in the NFC East at home, and they put that on the line on ABC's Monday Night Football tomorrow evening. Ibar allowed to hit here in the 6th. So LaRussa will send him out at least for another half inning with a 9-1 lead to work on.
Manuel, they're not getting cheated at all. Seeing some hefty cuts.
I would imagine for the rest of his career, he's going to try and duplicate that second inning home run, and coming in on him is De Los Santos.
I think that was a little bit of an intentional thing right there because he took a big hack and stared back at him. Now, I don't know if these two know each other from home or whatever, but let him know. It'd be interesting. Now watch this. This is a purpose pitch. He just brushes him back and says, "You're not going to swing like that on me."
Missed outside on that one, 2-2.
One thing about the National League, though, is the pitcher's got to take that bat to the plate. You can throw at guys all you want. You got to go up there and hit.
Didn't get cheated on that one either.
Check out the stare down.
Yeah. Ibar took a long look as he turned back of De Los Santos. A little hint of a smile there as he head back to his dugout. Now 1 for 3.
Another big, hefty cut here. Now watch him stare him down here like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, there's the stare, but by that time, De Los Santos has already got his back turned. Strike 1 to the number 9 hitter, the right fielder, Mark Little. Little 0 for 2, struck out in the 2nd. Fouled out to first in the 4th. Bases empty with 2 outs here in the 6th for the Cardinals, on top 9-1. They went over 500 with their win last night for the first time since June 23rd. Almost 3 months out of below 500. They were 38-37 then. They came into this one 78-77. Right up to shoot. Foul territory 4, now drifting into fair territory for the first baseman Loretta, and a 1-2-3-6 for De Los Santos. It remains 9-1 Card. Manny Ibar will work to Burnitz, Grissom, and Jackson in the Brewer half of the 6th inning, armed with a 9-1 lead. Bounces that one into Jeremy, who's kept off the base paths. 0 for 2, bounced first to the pitcher covering the first and struck him out last time up in the 4th.
Now, here's what we've been talking about. Jeremy Burnitz putting up the big numbers because he's been able to make adjustments. This at-bat, the 3rd at-bat now, he's got on top of the plate a little bit more. The first 2 at-bats, he was away. The pitcher pitched him away. Now we'll see if he gets a pitch inside, and he's setting him up. That's the things that you're able to do when you're playing on a daily basis. You can move around the batter's box, and you're able to make different adjustments and approaches towards getting yourself the best opportunity to get a base hit.
Ahead of Ibar 2-0, and now 3 balls and no strikes. Brewers have had the lead runner aboard only once, and that was on a leadoff walk to the pinch hitting Greg Martinez last inning. Ibar consistently working ahead of the Brewers. Serves up a 4-pitch walk, however, here to lead off the 6th inning to Burnitz. Through 5, he had thrown 81 pitches, 52 strikes. This is the 4th walk allowed by Manny Ibar.
What's been impressive about Ibar is he has pitched to situations. Last time Grissom hit the gapper, and then he got the ground ball from Jackson, and you can see that he's trying to get a little bit of a sinker action. We'll see if he tries to get a ground ball in this situation.
Marquise Grissom, who doubled last time up, takes a strike. Grissom scored the only Brewer run. Darren Jackson singled him home and a grounder up the middle. 1-1. Second year in a row in the 260 range for Marquise. 265 as of this at bat. 262 last year, which represented a drop of some 46 points after the trade, sending him to the Indians. Loops that one into left, and the Brewers have 2 aboard with nobody out in the 6th. Marquise Grissom is 2 for 3. That'll bring up Darren Jackson, who is 2 for 2 with a double and the RBI single.
He's like, nah, that didn't hurt my hand. But yeah, it did. Watch this ball come back in and bust him on the fingers. Got just enough of it to get it out over. Looked like he got a little bit more of the bat than I thought he did originally. Nice piece of hitting by Marquise. Classy guy, man. Find more class than Marquise Grissom.
Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, coming out for the Cardinals. How much do the batting gloves soften the sting of a pitch like that that comes in toward your fist? Much at all?
If you have a pad, a lot of guys put a pad in between their thumb, so that helps. But if you don't, it's going to ring regardless. Now, it doesn't look like Marquise's batting gloves are the type that put a protective pad in there. Cal Ripken, Ken Griffey Jr., Harold Baines, a lot of good hitters put a little protective pad in there. So if you're a good hitter, you want the ball to get back in on you as much as you possibly can. Now, watch how long this ball gets back on Marquise, and he's still able to pull the bat through. You see it was not on the sweep part of the bat, but that's a sign of waiting and seeing the ball and using your hands to hit. That's what you do with wooden bats, is use your hands a lot more than you will see with an aluminum bat.
So 2 on with nobody out for Jackson.
We saw a brief conversation with Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, come out to talk to Ibar. Now they got a little action in the Cardinal bullpen. Probably just saying, throw the ball, throw strikes. Got to pop out the center here to Jordan.
There's the first out. Jackson is retired for the first time today. Mark Petkazik is up and warming for the Cardinals.
Dave Duncan is a master of getting into his pitchers' minds and reminding them of the situation. You know, it's a 9-1 ball game. Yes, you got runners on first and second, no outs. Just go up there and throw strikes. Let your defense work for you. And right there, you got a pop-up.
And a pinch hitter has come out of the on-deck circle for the Brewers. Jeff Jenkins. This will be it for Manny Ibar as Duncan comes out again. But what a terrific effort in a pinch by Manuel Ibar. The scheduled starter, Kent Merker, a late scratch because of a reopened blister on his pitching hand. Ibar steps in and does a magnificent job.
Yeah, he was absolutely out of gas, or else they would not allow him to hit last inning because they expected him to be able to go a little bit more, but he ran out of gas.
He goes 5 1/3 and leaves with a 9-1 lead. Pitcher for the Cardinals is veteran Mark Petkazik, 7-4 for the year, 4.56 ERA in his 46th appearance. All but 10 have been in relief. 104 2/3 innings, has allowed 127 hits, struck out 54, and the opposition hitting .308 against Petkazik, who will work to the pinch hitter Jeff Jenkins, with Jeremy Burnitz aboard at second, Marquise Grissom at first. 1 out in the Brewer half of the 6th inning, trailing 9-1.
Well, this is a situation right here Tony La Russa likes to use him and bring him into 6th and 7th innings, kind of a middle setup type of guy before you get to the setup man in the 8th. He'll give you 4 pitches, a fastball, a slider, a curve, and a change. When he throws a lot of strikes, he's always around the plate, and that's why Tony can rely on him to be consistent.
So here is the pinch hitter, Jenkins. He takes a ball. Jenkins, .232 with 9 home runs and 28 RBIs. So Phil Garner hopes for some of that power to be on display here and try and start the Brewers on their way back into this game.
Now I think this guy right here is going to be a star player in the league someday. If he gets a chance to play on a daily basis, just as we've talked so much about already today with Jeremy Burnett, getting a chance to make adjustments day in and day out, I think this guy will put up big numbers.
2 balls and a strike. What specifically do you see in him?
Boy, he's got a great swing, nice short compact stroke. He's got power, and he comes to play every day. He's a guy that loves to play the game. So often you'll see guys that have great ability, but they don't push themselves to the maximum limit. This guy pushes himself to the max. I think he gets the most out of his capabilities.
3 balls and a strike to Jenkins. Called up from Louisville April 23rd, and the next day became the first Brewer ever to homer in his major league debut at San Francisco. Also single, drove in 2. And he is aboard on a 5-pitch walk to load him up for Jose Valentin. That Isaac not very close to the plate on any of those 4 balls. So with 1 out in the 6th, Cardinal infield at double play depth for Valentin, who is 0 for 1. He walked in the 2nd and flied to left in the 4th.
Now, this is the one situation where Valentin might get something to hit. Now, we saw a classic example earlier of being the 8-hitter, having the pitcher behind you on a 3-2 count. He got a little changeup that faded away. Now, you have the potential of a pinch hitter hitting behind you. You have Hamlin, left-handed hitter, that possibly could come up and hit behind you. So now they're going to have to go after him. Bases loaded. He'll get a pitch to drive.
Brewers have not been good at all with the bases loaded this year. They're just .228 as a team. 26 for 114. How to play 1-1. And the guys that you'd think they would most put up in these situations have been some of the biggest offenders. Cirillo is .090 with the bases loaded. Burnett is .158. 3 out of 19. Here is Valentin. With a chance to be a hero for the Brewers. McIsaac ready at 1-1. 2 balls and a strike.
Now, Dave, one thing that manager Phil Garner has done is he's put Brian Banks out on the on-deck circle. Now, this tells the Cardinals, we're going to have a pinch hitter and let you know who you are, who he's going to be, I should say. And now they have to go after the hitter. Smart move by the manager.
Low again, 3-1.
We were talking about the management moves you saw last night from these 2.
They were matching each other with double switch after double switch. Russa and Garner.
4 double switches in the game.
Phil Garner has a lot on his mind, no doubt, as this season winds up. Lots of rumors are rampant that this might be it in his managerial career, at least here in Milwaukee. Because not that long ago, this team was viewed as a group of overachievers that followed the personality of Scrapine. Somehow that has completely turned around on him in a disappointing 72 and 83 season. Into right field, Mark Little going back. That one's off the wall. 1 run home. Here comes 2. And they will put the brakes on Jenkins, who will scramble back to third just in time. But it is a 2-run double for Valentin.
Well, I really believe Jose Valentin has been a victim of the 8 spot. Now, this guy's a good hitter. The .216 average is very deceptive. And I believe a lot of that is because you hit 8th in the National League, you don't get any pitches to hit. Right here, a situation where they were forced to have to pitch to him, and he delivered.
Burnett's home first, quickly followed by Grissom. Jenkins was about a third of the way home before the third base coach finally guided him back. And out is La Russa. as the Cardinal lead, once 8 runs, has been chopped to 6 here, with still only 1 out in the 6th.
Good look at Manuel sweating it out. Come on, man, hold on to my lead now.
Ibar leaving with 1 out and 2 on, and now Petkaizik, after the walk to Jenkins, serves up the 2-run double to Valentin. Ryan Banks now the pinch hitter. And Petkaizik continues to miss in the dirt.
Well, a lot of times when you see the manager sprint out of the dugout like Tony La Russa did, he's coming out there and he's not too happy with his pitcher for nibbling. He wants you to go after him in that situation and make him put the ball in play. He's got himself behind. That's why Valentin was able to hit the 3-1 fastball into the gap. I want you to go after the hitters. Be aggressive.
Just away 2-0. Banks at 167 in very limited time. This is just his 19th at bat of the year. He's got a homer and 2 runs batted in. Petkaizik at 2-0 misses low. So a pitch away from loading him up for the top of the Brewer order. Mike Busby, right-hander, now warming in the Cardinal bullpen. Chad Fox, number 40, in the Brewer pen. Finally a strike, 3-1. Banks, a switch hitter, a little bit better from the left side. A rip at that one, fair down the line, headed to the corner. Jenkins is home ahead of Valentin. Another 2-run double for the Brewers. A 2-run pinch double by Banks, and it is 9-5.
Well, Petkaizik was a victim of his own problem of nibbling. He got behind the hitters. Valentin got a 3-1 fastball hitting the gap, and right here Banks gets a 3-1 fastball in the inside half and just drives it down the line past McGwire for the 2 RBI double. So we're going to have a pitching change. When you nibble and you get behind big league hitters, they're going to hurt you.
Ryan Banks hurts Petkaizik with his 2nd double. And his 3rd and 4th RBIs of the year. Petkaizik heads out. Busby heads in for the Cardinals in a 9-5 game. Has come on after a very ineffective 3-batter appearance by Mark Petkaizik, who allowed a walk to the pinch hitter Jenkins, and then back-to-back 2-run doubles served up to Valentin and another pinch hitter Banks, and Petkaizik maintaining a safe distance from the manager.
Well, in that situation, you know the manager, once he already sprinted out to you and he just said, hey, throw strikes, and you still continue to nibble and get hurt, I wouldn't sit too close to him either.
Mike Busby has been very solid this year. Last night, his 5th hold of the season, worked a perfect 8th inning. 5-1 with a 4.71 ERA. Spent some time on the disabled list with a strained right shoulder. Used mostly in relief. 22nd relief appearance here to face the top of the order. Fernando Pena, who is 0 for 3, to be followed by Mark Loretta and Jeff Cirillo. Top of the order has done no damage whatsoever for the Brewers. Of their 9 appearances so far, Loretta is the only one to reach, and that was on a walk in the 1st. He's 0 for 2 since. Cirillo is 0 for 3. And Busby starts Vina with a ball.
Vina jumped on a line drive the first time up. Makes a lot of contact, and we saw him get called out on a 3rd strike his last at bat, but whenever he swings, he's going to make contact. Doesn't swing and miss very often.
One of the 3 toughest in the league to strike out this year. And he'll lean out there, too. He's also been hit 2nd most in the NL, 25 times. 1 ball and a strike with only 1 out. Jackson flied out. He was the last batter faced by Ibar. And he bounces out with foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
So the one thing that happens that you do not want is you don't want your relievers coming in throwing a lot of balls. Now you make a pitching change. It takes 8 pitches for them to warm up, and then they start walking people. Your infielders start standing around, your outfielders. Everybody gets a little bit lazy. The Cardinals were in total control of this game. They controlled the pace. They were dominating. They were hitting balls out of the ballpark. Very energetic, making all the plays. Now all of a sudden, your pitching falters and starts dragging the game out, and everybody's sitting back on their heels just a little bit now.
Things have really dragged to a halt in this long 6th inning by the Brewers. 3rd Cardinal pitcher. Busby works inside, and it's 2-2. Bruce is staked to a 9-1 lead when this inning began, but 4 already across for Milwaukee. Up the middle, backhanded by Kelly. And the stretch by McGwire pulled him off the bag. Vigna is safe at first. Banks is at 3rd with 1 out.
And that's a prime example of having your infielders standing around. All of a sudden the ball's hit. Now, Pat Kelly makes a nice play to get to this ball. But I beg to differ. If he was alive and alert, he might have been able to make this play a little bit better. But look at this. Great reaction. Nice throw. Now, Mark McGwire does a great job of handling first base. See how he turns his body and goes and gets this ball. So often, first basemen will tie themselves up, and this ends up being a ball thrown into the dugout because they make the stretch wrong. He does a nice job of agility adjusting to the throw, but you could tell right there that the umpire made the right call, and Vigna was there.
So 1 out still with runners on the corners for Mark Loretta. 0 for 2. Loretta, after that walk, grounded to 3rd. Struck out last time. Banks on 3rd. Vigna on 1st. And Loretta stepping out for a moment, getting a sign from 3rd base coach Doug Mansolino. Busby now ready. Short right field. Little has the 2nd out, and here comes Banks tagging to score easily the 6th run of the game, the 5th of the inning for the Brewers.
Nice piece of hitting by Loretta, trying to go to the right side and shoot it through the 4-hole. He got under it and got enough to drive the run in. Here he is, a nice inside-out stroke. And when you're hitting the ball to the right side, it's tougher to turn a 4-6-3 double play than it is a 6-4-3. So excellent job of trying to go the other way as we get a good look at Banks coming through. Now, the other thing that's happened, Dave, is you've opened up the Brewers' running game all of a sudden. Now they're back in the game. We saw them sitting back when it was 9-1. Now they can be aggressive once again.
Vigna at first with 2 outs for Cirillo. 0 for 3. Struck out last time after a pop to short and a fly ball to left. And Busby misses inside. 51st RBI of the year for Mark Loretta. Nice pitch hitting performance by both Jenkins and Banks here in the 6th. Jenkins, who walked and scored. Banks, who had the 2-run double and has now come home on that sac fly. 2 balls and no strikes. That type of performance more often this year maybe would have kept Phil Garner out of the apparent jeopardy that he finds himself in. Sal Bando, the GM, had given him a vote of confidence and then rescinded the vote of confidence. I don't know if there's anything worse than the vote. It's the rescinding of the dreaded vote of confidence.
Well, also, you never know where that came from because, you know, Bud Selig becomes the commissioner of baseball, gives up control of the Brewers, and all of a sudden he's not the owner around here anymore. And so you have a whole different regime coming in, even though his daughter is taking over the ball club. She's got her own ideas. She's going to run the ball club. So you never know where that call might have, that rescinded to me came from.
Cirillo is aboard on a 4-pitch walk from Busby. 3rd first and second with 2 outs for the leading left-handed RBI man in the National League, Jeremy Burnitz. Silent Cardinal bullpen at the moment.
Well, we used to say when I was with the Baltimore Orioles, let's hit for 20 minutes. You felt like we were up for 20 minutes, we were going to score some runs. I feel like the Brewers have been up here for an hour.
It seems at least an hour, really does. They have batted around. Burnitz got it all started with a walk. Ball 1. He walked to lead this inning off. Grissom followed with a single. Jackson flying out. Jenkins with a pinch walk. Then the 2-run doubles back-to-back by Valentin and Banks. Sac fly by Loretta scored the 5th run of the inning. 1-1. Cardinals have sent 5 home runs flying out to left field today. Almost 6. 1 and almost 2 by Mark McGwire. 1 rule fan interference for a ground rule double. 1-1 pitch popped back out of play, and they are a pitch away from finally ending this seemingly endless bottom of the 6th. A few bits of controversy in McGuire's chase toward history in the 5th. Ball that appeared to be caught by a fan clearly above the yellow railing in left field. Ruled a double for interference. He did come around to score anyway. Busby trying to bust Burnitz inside, and it's 2-2. That fence preventing anybody with normal length arms. It looks like that trooper right there demonstrating just how far you have to reach.
Get a little air time.
To even try and interfere. 2-2. Got him swinging to end a 5-run bottom half of the 6th. Brewers get back in it, though. From 8 back, they're within 3, 9-6. Scheduled to hit 3rd in the top half of the 7th for the Cardinals. Already had an eventful day, to say the least.
Well, first at bat, he gets a fastball. I mean, tattoos it, no doubt about it. Way back.
WrestleMania ensued in the left field bleachers. That was number 65. This we thought was number 66. Then ruled to have interfered by reaching over the railing, although it appeared he was well above the railing. It was a double officially for McGwire and not number 66. He came on to score on a single by Jordan. Didn't affect the scoreboard, but it may affect history.
Dave, what's so interesting is you have all the security out there around the outfield fence to keep people back, but they're trying to get the ball too. So
they're human too.
It doesn't matter. They're turning around trying to grab that ball.
4th Brewer pitcher of the day has come on. Chad Fox works to the top of the order. Pat Kelly, who squares to bunt. Kelly has 1 of the 5 Cardinal home runs. He had a solo shot to lead off the 3rd inning. Fox is 0-3 in 45 appearances, a 3.86 ERA. 53 2/3 innings, less than a hit per inning, 52 hits for the year. Opposition average is 257. 2 balls and a strike to Kelly. Kelly lined out, struck out his other 2 appearances, so 1 for 3 for the Cardinals second baseman. Lino DeShields getting the day off. That one out of play. Our colleague on the Cardinal radio network, Mike Shannon, has called the Cardinal clubhouse and has been told they reran our video 17 times on that double by McGwire, and it was a home run all 17 times. It's unanimous in the Cardinal clubhouse. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Kelly. Mike's right down below us, and he wanted our first verdict since he didn't have the monitor we have. Kelly will not beat that one out. They let it go foul.
Excellent job by Cirillo. You know, so often, I don't know why guys don't do that. You're not losing anything. You got the shortstop coming over to back up anyway if this ball happens to stay fair. Just great judgment by Cirillo right here. You have no play. It's a check swing. So Pat Kelly getting down the line really good. Now watch Kelly on the check swing. He's pulled on the slider. He's out the box. He's on his way. Cirillo says, you know what, I got no play. I'm just go ahead and let it roll. Now the other thing that tells me is this guy's played on this field quite a bit, and he knows that ground. That's the advantage of playing at home and having a grounds crew that tailors the field for you.
That is some thick infield grass down there.
Yes, it is.
Shag carpeting. 3-2 again to Kelly. Strike 3 call on the breaking ball.
Jeff Cirillo's judgment just saved him a base runner right there. Fastball, a little movement on that. It looks almost like a slider, but he's throwing a little cut fastball. That's what locked Pat Kelly up, because it looked at the fastball release and then the ball cut on him at the last second.
Here's Fernando Tatis, who singled ahead of the official McGwire homer in the first and has flied to left his last 2 appearances. Big Mac on deck. 1 out in the 7th. Sammy Sosa 0 for 2 at Wrigley today against the Reds. This one should be playable. Loretta calling off Banks, who has stayed in the game as the catcher for the second out, and here comes McGwire. Welcome everybody who's been watching the Cubs and the Reds. Mark McGwire is set to step in against reliever Chad Fox in the 7th inning. 2 out and nobody on for McGwire, who has number 65 already today and almost had number 66 on one that was taken away for a fan interference ruling in the 5th. And Fox works high and inside to him. So McGwire with an official double and a home run. Every angle we have made that look like it was number 66. 1-1. The home run, a 2-run shot in the first, gave him 138 driven in. Missed inside, 2-1. On the corner. He has worked him, Harold, a lot like they did last night. Inside, backing him off, and then coming back away. 4 strikeouts last night against Brewer pitching from McGwire. And he got him swinging. His first strikeout this afternoon to end a 1-2-3-7 for Chad Fox. We send our national audience back to John Miller in Chicago. And we'll return to County Stadium in Milwaukee, where the Cardinals hang on to a 3-run lead. Back at County Stadium, 52,831 on hand. 9-6 Cardinal lead over the Brewers, headed to the bottom half of inning number 7. Mark McGwire just set down on strikes for the 5th time in the last 24 hours. Season high 4 Ks last night. Chad Fox got him to complete a 2-strikeout, 1-2-3 top half of the 7th.
Well, it's one thing to have a game plan, but it's another thing to be able to execute it. Chad Fox bust him in, slide away, bust him in, slide away.
Marquise Grissom having a big afternoon, lines a hit to left.
3rd hit of the day.
3rd in a row, a double followed by 2 singles. He has scored twice, and he has a leadoff single here in the 7th. Mike Busby finished up that 5-run 6 for the Cardinals. allowed what was ruled an infield hit to his first hitter, Vina, on the throw that pulled McGwire off the bag by Kelly. They ruled that Vina had beaten it out. No hit, or no error, base hit. Rather than the sac fly, Cirillo walked. He struck out Burnitz to end it. And here is another guy who's had a big afternoon so far, Darren Jackson. Doubled in the second, RBI single to score Grissom in the fourth. Last time up, fly to center. 2 for 3 for Jackson. Busby missing the inside corner. 2 balls and no strikes.
Busby using what is called now a slide step or a glide step, depending on how way you want to look at it. In any effect, it's a shorter stride to the plate and a quick delivery. So it's tough to run on in this situation, but they're not going to run anyway here. So you go ahead, gather yourself, and give the hitter a good pitch, instead of rushing yourself and leaving a ball out over the plate, and Darren Jackson making this a 9-8 ball game.
Grissom, just in case he does decide to go, is second only to Vina in stolen bases for the Brewers. 12 successful, caught 7 times. Not a great percentage. Hitter's pitch, and he was wailing. 2-2. That looked like an Ibar swing.
Yeah, it did. He knew a fastball was coming. Now, a lot of times when you know a fastball is coming, you will go out of the zone on a pitch because it will look that much better for you. And Darren got him a high fastball and almost broke his back swinging at it.
Came out of his shoes. 2-2 pitch. That goes flying on strike 3. High fastball for strike 3, and then got him reaching low and away to finish that at bat. Up close special with Roy Firestone coming up Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern. His guest George Steinbrenner to discuss the upcoming Yankees postseason, the proposed deal with Cablevision in the headlines the last week or so, and interviews with David Cohn, David Wells, and Tino Martinez as well. A Yankee special with Roy Firestone up close Tuesday on ESPN. Big Bob Hamlin on to pinch hit for the Brewers. Looking for the long ball to make this a 1-run game. 219, he has 7 home runs, 21 RBIs for the year, and goes right after the first pitch and pops it up to short. Ordaz drifts back for the second out.
Well, as a pinch hitter, you know the first pitch you're going to see is going to be a fastball, so you go up and you want to be aggressive. You want to be a little bit selective, but you definitely want to be aggressive. The ball might have ran on Bob just a little bit, but he wasn't wasting any time.
Trying to move our pace back where it was first couple innings.
We like that.
Valentine walked, flied to left, and a 2-run double came around to score in the Brewer 5-run 6th. And takes a strike. So 1 for 2 with RBIs 45 and 46 for Jose. Lines that one to right, a base hit. Grissom will make third easily, and they are on the corners for the Brewers, and the tying run will come to the plate here in the 7th.
You know, it's amazing watching Valentine's last 2 at-bats opposed to the first at-bat. Now, his first at-bat, he had the pitcher hitting behind him. And look at how much more aggressive he has been the last 2 times at the plate. Getting a fastball there and just driving it. When you have a hitter behind you as a pitcher or somebody who's not a very good hitter, it makes you timid and starting to think a little bit more than what might be coming, as opposed to being aggressive and saying, I'm going to get that fastball that I want and drive it.
Dave Duncan, the Cardinal pitching coach, is out for a conference. Ryan Banks set to step in, batting in the 9th position for the Brewers. He had the 2-run pinch double in the 6th inning. Duncan just wanted a quick word with Busby. Busby, the 3rd Cardinal pitcher. Merker, the scheduled starter, a late scratch because of a blister. Andy Ibar stepped in, went 5 1/3, allowed 2 runs on 4 hits with 5 strikeouts and 4 walks. But Kajzik did not retire a batter. And then they came with Busby, who has been able to shut down further threats to this point. Now tying run at the plate in the person of Banks, who takes a ball.
Now, I'm sorry, David. You saw Busby go at the high kick now, gather himself and throw a good pitch. Duncan obviously ran out there and said, why are you slide stepping in this situation? They are not going to run. Think about getting that hitter. And that's what you got to do. You got to know your situations. There's a time to slide step, and then there's a time to gather yourself and give the hitter the best pitch that you can deliver.
Got him flailing at the big breaking ball. Down around his shoe tops. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I saw that the first pitch. I wanted to get that out before he hit the ball.
Well, as soon as you noticed it, it's strike 1, strike 2. I'm glad you did. So Busby a pitch away from getting out of this threat. Banks hoping to tie it up with 1 cut. 1 home run so far for him this year. Looks at third and then first, and diving back without drawing a throw, Valentin.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, now if I'm the Brewers, now I cut him loose because they're probably not going to try to throw him out at second base. They're probably going to put on either a hold or throw the ball at third. They're giving you that base. They're telling the pitcher to concentrate on getting the out.
Ready to work to the plate, and that time Banks holds off the same pitch he just took a righty cut at. It's 2-2. Action in both bullpens. Eversgerd and Croushore for the Cardinals. Wickman is up for the Brewers. 2-2 pitch. Popped down the left field line and out of play.
Now you go ahead and cut Valentin loose at first base. They gave you the fake move. He's throwing a slider and a change. They're not even thinking about throwing you out at second base. They're giving you the bag. So take it.
Well, he didn't take it. Banks pops up. This should do it. Ordaz for the 3rd out, and the Brewers get nothing out of runners on the corners. So we head to the 8th in a 9-6 game at County Stadium in Milwaukee. Brewer pitcher of the afternoon has come on, and it is Bob Wickman. 6-9, 365 with a team high 25 saves for Phil Garner. And he is on in the 8th inning, having earned save number 25 Wednesday at Cincinnati. He is 9th in the National League with 81 in the 3rd innings in relief. 3rd best in the league. Only 16% of his inherited runners have scored this year. He had a streak of 15 consecutive save opportunities converted May 31st to July 20th, and in that span earned himself a 3-year contract extension, which he signed June 30th. Since that point, he has had some rocky outings, and a week ago last night allowed 5 runs in the 9th in a meltdown at Chicago when the Brewers coughed up a lead, lost 15-12 to the Cubs. Ryan Jordan leading off the 8th for the Cardinals. 1 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs scored.
Wickman has never been the type of pitcher that's going to overpower you. The key to his success is a lot of ground balls. When he's getting ground balls, you know he's keeping hitters off balance with this little cut fastball, and he throws it looks like a split, but it's actually a changeup that has a downward arc like a split.
1-1 pitch right in there, 1-2. He lost the tip of his right index finger in a childhood accident.
Yeah, you're reading my mind.
That has resulted in, a lot of people just call it a heavy sinker when he's going well.
Yes, you read my mind. Uh-oh.
Jordan taking a shot of the right field corner and just misses.
Yeah, and because of that, you get that hard release from the ball, and he gets that. That's why it looks like a split action, because what a split fastball will do is it looks like a fastball at the last second. It will tumble on the hitter, and he has a natural one. Thanks to a childhood accident, it's become a natural pitch for him.
Got a chance to see it as he made his way back to the mound there. That right index finger, that one gets through Banks. 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Wickman throws a great object lesson in turning what a lot of people would consider a disaster, maybe a career-ending incident, into something that has actually worked out to his benefit. Plus them inside, and it's full. Another side effect is that when he gets tired, it doesn't affect his movement. Sinker ballers sometimes prefer to be tired. Stabbed by Cirillo at third. The throw across in time to get the speedy Jordan.
That was a pretty play right there by Cirillo, going hard to the hole, to the backhand side. Now this ball takes him with the momentum. Watch the ball take him to the outfield. That's why he's able to spin around the way he did and come back strike. He's even blowing a bubble. That's how composed he is down there, and throws a strike over to first base.
That is concentration.
That's just being flat out relaxed and enjoying the game.
Nothing to it. Here's Ron Gant. Ron Gant, I suppose, is the hitting star today because he has 2 official home runs in the books and 4 RBIs. McGwire has only 1 official home run. And as a result, only 2 RBIs. Gant has 24 and 25. And the RBIs are up to 63. The average up to 240. Enjoying the late season return to health. Reach for that one is 1 and 2.
Also, I think when you play with a hitter as with Mark McGwire's caliber, and you see how consistent he's been with hitting an inside pitch. Ron Gant, another one of those guys that likes the ball inside, but was really, that came down hard on him for not hitting the ball to right field, as we see him drive one to right there. But he went back to making him pitch him inside. As a result, he started to be able to drive the ball and hit a few more home runs. Got 25 now. Started off slow in the beginning of the year.
He's going to end up with very respectable power numbers. Light out to Burnitz to bring up Eli Marrero with 2 outs and nobody on here in the 8th.
Now, to emphasize the point with throwing McGwire's name in there, one thing McGwire realized himself, when we were talking about this earlier, was that I like the ball inside. I'm a pull hitter. He
middle in, loves it middle in.
He said the one year they tried to get me to hit the ball right field in Oakland, I hit 201. So I've realized I want a ball inside.
I wonder who's taking credit for that idea these days.
Some genius.
1 ball and 1 strike. This sellout today at 52,000 plus, finishing off this 3-game series with a new Brewer 3-game attendance record, 155,157 for this chance to see Mark McGwire making history over the weekend. Old record 78. Boston Red Sox drew almost 154,000. That guy pretty much by himself packs in 155,000. People who follow the Brewers say normally a late season Sunday afternoon with football competing, you might get 15 to 20 of you.
Amazing. People love the home run.
3-2 to Marrero.
It's like the NBA slam dunk contest. You know, when Jordan and Dominique and those guys and Spud Webb, when they were having the slam dunk contest, that was more exciting than the All-Star game.
Well, you know, funny you mentioned Jordan, because there are now people who think that McGwire this year has taken over the spot in the public consciousness as the designated official American sports hero, replacing Michael Jordan if Jordan does indeed retire, as he said he will. Marrero takes the 2-out walk, increasing the chance that we might see McGwire hit one more time. It'll be Ordaz, the shortstop, who was 0 for 3. Now, that is a thought that you would never have heard uttered or seen written before this year. Anybody replacing Jordan in the public consciousness.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It's an interesting thought.
And your half hour or so that you spent with Big Mac before the game, how would you gauge his energy level with only 1 week left in the season? If he's going to continue this power show mentally, physically, how much gas is left in the tank?
I think he was really solid. He's got some gas left, no doubt about it. He's looking forward to the end of the tape, but I think he's been here enough times to understand that you play the full year through, and also he knows what it takes to get to the playoffs, and so he's been there before too. So he'll be able to make it through, no problem.
Oh, what a base hit to right by Luis Ordaz. And hanging on at second base will be Marrero, wisely so. Didn't want to challenge the arm of Burnitz right. And make the third out. First hit of the afternoon for Ordaz. That'll bring up the pitcher's spot, the 8-hole for the Cardinals. One more look.
Now, Ordaz got a slider up and away, and he's able to drive it to right field. Now, we saw him top a couple balls to shortstop earlier. I think a lot of it has to do with his approach. He already starts off with his body closed, but he got a chance to go get a ball outside. That's the pitch that he's going to hit best right now. I think someday he will be a pretty good hitter because he's got great hand-eye coordination.
It will be Ray Lankford coming out on deck to pinch hit for the Cards. Had the day off until now. 286 average, 30 home runs, 101 driven in for Lankford. In a season that has seen him totally overshadowed. Other seasons he would be looked at as a major cog for the Cardinals. Not that he hasn't been, but he has not had the headlines that a 30-100 year would normally draw.
Well, that's the interesting thing that Mark and I were talking about earlier, was that there are so many guys having great years that are just totally overshadowed because of the home run race. You got Griffey with 53 homers in Seattle, and everybody's thinking he's having a bad year. And this guy right here, 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, and playing the defense that he plays, it's been a great protection for McGwire to get pitches. Even though he's got 160 walks, you still got to have somebody hitting behind him.
Lankford hit number 30 Friday night here, also doubled. Tell you what, you can come up with 7 or 8 minimum genuine MVP-type seasons in the National League alone this year. They obviously are not all going to get huge vote totals, but in any other year, given team success and normal production by other people at the top of the home run and the RBI charts, 7 or 8 guys can look back and say, I really had MVP numbers that year, and it was the year of McGwire and Sosa. Vaughn in San Diego, Biggio, Alou in Houston. The list goes on, and the huge second half by Lankford helping McGwire's cause.
Well, he started off the season with a hurt shoulder. He dove for a ball early and injured a shoulder that he had hurt last year. So he got off to a slow start, and you could tell with the health he started to swing the bat a little bit better as the season went on.
Now you hear the Brewer fans applauding the 4-pitch walk to Lankford. They're counting down the at-bats until they might see Big Mac. Little will have John Mabry pinch hit for him in the 9-hole, and then you've got 3 more before you would get to McGwire. There are 2 outs in the 8th.
And now they post the Cardinal batting order up on the scoreboard. They had not done that all day and left it up there where people can actually calculate when will McGwire come up.
Well, still a ways off. This would have to turn into full-fledged disaster for Wickman for us to see McGwire again. Retired the first 2 hitters, Jordan and Gant, and then a walk to Marrero, a single to right by Ordaz, and a walk to Lankford. Little was 0 for 3. Here's John Mabry. .254, 9 home runs, 46 RBIs, and he chops the first pitch to second. Valentin covers to the 4th, and they get out of it in the top half of the 8th. We have to wait for McGwire until the 9th. It remains 9-6. Another new pitcher has come on for the Cardinals, Rick Croushore, to work the bottom half of the 8th inning. St. Louis has a 9-6 lead. It was 9-1. The Brewers have chipped back within 3, and Croushore will face the top of their order in the bottom half of the 8th inning.
Go ahead.
He is the 4th pitcher for Tony La Russa. We've already seen 5 pitchers for Phil Garner. And he is a screwball specialist who was 0-3 with a 4.82 ERA. This will be his 39th appearance.
Yeah, very interesting. A right-handed screwball pitcher. You do not see that very often because you don't want that ball coming back into most right-handed hitters. That's why you don't see it. But he'll face a left-hander here in Valentin and Vina, so I'm sure we'll probably see that pitch.
The lefties have barely touched him this year. 141 average by left-handed hitters, 12 of 85. Vina squaring up, takes ball 1.
And there's a screwball right there.
Right-handers have hit him to the tune of 263, 30 hits, and 6 of those are home runs by right-handed batters. No homers by lefties. That one is sprayed behind first. 1 ball and 1 strike.
That's why it's very unusual to see a right-hander throwing screwballs that come back over the plate to most right-handed hitters. Just the majority and the numbers are going to tell you more right-handers are going to have an opportunity to face him because you're going to match up righty against righty. But if he leaves it over the plate, they're going to hit it.
Little bloop single to center. His 2nd straight hit to lead off the Brewer half of the 8th. He was awarded an infield hit on a slow grounder that Kelly's throw pulled McGwire off the bag at first. They said he beat it out, so he is 2 for 5 today, and that brings up the first baseman, Mark Loretta. Loretta walked in the first, 0 for 2 since then. He had a sac fly in the 6th inning, when the Brewers got 5 of their 6 runs. .52. Ordaz to second. Kelly to McGwire. Not in time to get Loretta.
Well, we talked about that thick grass earlier. That just slowed that ball down. Loretta hit it as soon as it hit the grass. It died. Ordaz with a nice relay here to Pat Kelly now, and Kelly doing a nice job of cheating coming across the bag, and I thought he really made it a little bit closer than I thought it was, and actually Loretta getting down the line pretty good, beating that out.
Close to a tie, and they gave it to him, so he is aboard for the number 3 hitter, the 3rd baseman, Jeff Cirillo, who has walked in 4 appearances. High run for the Brewers in the on-deck circle in the person of Jeremy Burnitz. Ball 1 to Cirillo, 4th leading hitter in the National League when play began today. Busby won an inning in 2/3 for the Cardinals. After Petkaizik came on for the starter Ibar and allowed 3 runs, didn't retire anybody, 2 hits and a walk. Busby allowed 3 hits, struck out 2, and shut down any further damage by the Brewers. 3 balls and no strikes to Cirillo. Mark McGwire will hit in the 9th thanks to the battle Wickman had with his control in the 8th. There's a strike. Wickman set down the first 2, and then 3 straight got aboard to ensure that we would see McGwire in the 9th. Had he finished what looked like it was going to be a 1-2-3-8, that would have been in doubt. Now the 3-1 at the knees, full count. Croushore made his major league debut in May. 28 years of age, 6'4", big, 210-pounder. Cirillo sends that one back to the upper deck. House stays full. Cardinals going for their 5th consecutive win today. They've had a hot month of September, 13-5 coming in to this one, their final road game of the year. Tony La Russa will finish up at home against the Astros Tuesday and Wednesday, the Expos Thursday through next Sunday to wrap up the Mark McGwire home run history tour, 1998. Runner going as Cirillo flies that one to fairly deep center field. Back it up is Langford, who stays in the game and takes over center field. They move Brian Jordan over to right, and there is the second out.
It's been a great day to hit. The ball is really carrying here. Once you get it up in the air, wind's blowing out to left field, and it plays real favorable for a hitter in all aspects of the ballpark. The ball really carrying nice today. It's got a great hitter's background too. They got the blue seats there. And
you like playing here, I could tell.
Yeah, you can really pick up the ball nice, and the infield's fast. It's a good place to pick up a lot of base hits.
Strike one to Burnitz. 0 for 3, a walk, a run scored, but 2 strikeouts. And another trip to the mound by the pitching coach, Dave Duncan, and I think they're going back to their bullpen again. He has motioned out to the Cardinal bullpen and right, and taken the ball from young Rick Croushore, who leaves with 1 on and 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Ryan Eversgerd, left-hander, will come in to work to Burnitz. Will return to Milwaukee. The left-hander Ryan Eversgerd is in the game now for the Cardinals. Their 5th of the day. Eversgerd in limited action. This is just his 6th appearance of the year. He has no one-loss record and 1080 earned run average. 5 innings. He has allowed 8 hits, 7 runs, 6 of those earned. And against left-handed hitters, has a .333 average against. They're 2 of 6. Retired his only batter in his most recent outing. It's been a while against Cincinnati back on the 4th. Native of Carlisle, Illinois. Signed during a tryout camp by the Cardinals in 1989. He is 29, and he comes in with an 0-1 count. They allowed Croushore to throw strike 1 to Burnitz, and then decided to make one more change and get Eversgerd in. Morello boarded first after the fielder's choice. 1 ball and 1 strike to Burnitz.
This guy reminds me of Rick Honeycutt. It's kind of how La Russa used to use Honeycutt in this type of situation when Rick was older. Now, when he was a young Rick Honeycutt, he was slamming it. Oh,
that's playing right under the glove of McGwire into the corner and right. Returned by Jordan. They're on the corners for the Brewers, as Burnitz greets Eversgerd with a hot shot down the right field line. His first and so far only hit of the day will bring up the tying run, Marquise Grissom.
He got a fastball in and just drove it down the line. But McGwire now is breaking off the bag from holding the runner, Loretta, and that's why he got twisted around. This ball shot right by him. Now here's McGwire. He just hops off, and this ball caught him right when he was just finishing his hop off from holding the runner.
Eversgerd checking the runner, Burnitz. Grissom, been a tough out. He's got 3 consecutive hits, a double and a run scored in the 4th, singled and scored in the 6th, singled and got as far as 3rd in the 7th, and goes right after the first offering from Eversgerd here, missed it. 0-1. Only time they retired him, it was on a grounder to short in the 2nd.
Nice little changeup by Eversgerd right there.
Cardinals 9-6, 2 on, 2 out of the 8th. Pop into the upper deck. 0-2 to Grissom. In the Cardinal 9th, it bears repeating. It is the top of the order. Kelly, Tatis, and McGwire due up. Eversgerd trying to end the 8th. This is high 1-2. Only La Russa has kept the bullpen active today. Started with 11 available arms out there, and he's gotten about halfway into those available numbers. Grissom down on strikes. Eversgerd does his job, and we head to the 9th and one more look at Big Mac. Back at County Stadium, 9-6 Cardinals. We head to the top half of inning number 9. Dave Barnett and Harold Reynolds. And some 52,831. Sunday night football tonight here on ESPN, matching the Eagles and Irving Fryer and the Arizona Cardinals. Jake Plummer tonight, 8:15 Eastern from Sun Devil Stadium on ESPN. Along with ABC, your exclusive networks for primetime NFL football. Second inning of work for Bob Wickman, and he starts the pinch hitter Delino DeShields with a foul ball. DeShields batting for Pat Kelly, who homered in 4 trips. Third home run of the year, 1 of 5 driven out by the Cardinals, tying their season high. Sammy Sosa is homerless today for the Cubs. McGwire has 1 and almost 2 today for the Cards. So he is at 65. And the scheduled third hitter this 9th inning, as DeShields works the count. And McGwire stares out at Wickman. 2-1 pitch. Missed as well. 3 balls and a strike. DeShields a 300 hitter this year. 7 homers, 44 driven in. And he is aboard with a leadoff walk in the 9th off Wickman.
Well, the middle of that Cardinal lineup has been so good this year with McGwire, Jordan, and Langford that everybody has benefited. DeShields is going to get more pitches to hit. They're going to come after him more often. He's going to get more walks. And the same thing's going to happen throughout the whole lineup. You become a better hitter when you got guys in the middle that are doing damage.
Pitching coach for the Brewers making his way out for a conference with Wickman is Don Rowe. McGwire has moved out to the on-deck circle. Fernando Tatis, meanwhile, steps into the batter's box. Wickman came on in the 8th, retired the first 2 hitters, Jordan and Gann, and at that point it looked as if we might not see Mark McGwire again. And then he walked Marrero, gave up a single to Ordaz, walked Langford before getting John Mabry on a fielder's choice, the 9-hitter, ensuring that the 1, 2, and 3 holes would see action here in the top half of the 9th. Kept just about everybody in their seats. Here's Tatis. Runner going. The throw by Banks not nearly in time, and DeShields is at second with a stolen base. 25th of the year for Delino DeShields.
Got a great jump. Wickman really did not pay any attention to Delino. I don't think anybody expected him to run in this situation, where I don't know why. It's only a 3-run game in the 9th. But look at the high leg kick by Wickman, and catcher has absolutely no chance of getting a delivery. Second baseman Vina didn't even go and cut the ball off.
Now Tatis busted inside after squaring to bunt DeShields to third.
Well, you always want to play to get 5 runs because you don't want a grand slam to beat you. This is just a fastball that runs in on Tatis. Losing his balance made it look like it was a little bit closer than it actually was. But you want to bunt, get that runner over, either bunt him or swing and get him over to third base. You want to continue to add on. At least a grand slam does not beat you. It might tie you in this situation. Right now, a grand slam would beat you with a 3-run lead.
Infield creeping in now. Tatis again squared to bunt, took a strike. 2-1.
Now, another thing that's going on is Tony La Russa is learning his personnel. He's seen what Tatis can do. He's seen what all the young pitchers. We've seen a lot of different pitching changes in certain situations. He's looking to next year. He wants to see what you can do now for next year.
Just missed the inside corner. Tatis takes ball 3. 3 balls and a strike from Wickman.
It's actually a great strategy by Wickman. He's trying to bust him in. He knows Tatis is trying to get this man over. So what do you do as a pitcher? You bust him in. I see so many young pitchers go ahead and throw a ball outside, and the guy hits the ball to the right side anyway. Make him earn it. If he wants to go to the right side, make him go inside out.
Well, inside half of the plate for strike 2, and the count runs full.
Absolutely. You can tell Tatis is trying to go to the right side to get that runner over. Wickman busting him in.
Mark McGwire waiting. As usual, in deep concentration. Here's the 3-2. DeShields is going. The throw again, not nearly in time, but it was ball 4. Tatis will take first. They're on the corners for Mark McGwire. We welcome again our audience from the Cubs and the Reds to County Stadium in Milwaukee, where Mark McGwire steps in with 2 on and nobody out in the 9th. He has homered in the 1st. We thought we had seen him homer again in the 5th inning, but second base umpire Bob Davidson ruled the ball to have been interfered with by a fan in left field. He said the fan reached over the yellow railing and turned it into a ground rule double. We thought upon several viewings afterward it was still a home run, but it's in the books as a double. And Eric Plunk is going to come on in relief of Bob Wickman to face McGwire. Plunk on for the Brewers when we come back. County Stadium, Dave Barnett and Harold Reynolds. Eric Plunk has come on in relief of Bob Wickman for the Milwaukee Brewers to work to Mark McGwire with 2 on, nobody out, in a 9-6 Cardinal lead for Eric Plunk, the veteran hard-throwing right-handed reliever. His 24th appearance of the year. He is 1-2 with the Brewers, a 4.08 earned run average. Mark McGwire had a 2-run home run, scoring Tatis, who had singled ahead of him in the 1st. Aboard on a check swing infield hit in the 3rd, and then the controversial ground rule double on fan interference in the 5th. On a ball that looked for all the world to be home run number 66, so he is at 65 and counting as he studies Plunk with DeShields aboard at 3rd and Tatis at 1st. The Brewers have also made a couple other defensive changes. Marcus Jensen has come on at catcher. They have moved Brian Banks into left field and Darren Jackson from left to center, and Marquise Christian has come out, and here comes Big Mac.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what Plunk does with McGwire now. They've been busting him in and getting him out with the sliders away. 5 strikeouts in 2 days.
Starts him inside on that first pitch. He struck out last time against Chad Fox. He struck out a season high 4 times against 3 different Brewers last night.
Well, same pattern, Dave. Fastball in, regardless if it's a strike or a ball, then back with the slider away. Mark is a tremendous guess hitter. You can't continue to do the same pattern without him figuring it out sooner or later.
1-1 pitch misses. Blown away. 2 balls and a strike. Fans want anything, I think, other than a walk.
Well, the pressure is really on the pitcher, not necessarily on Mark.
2-1, tried to come back inside, missed again. 3 balls and 1 strike. Amid some vocal discontent among the sold-out house here at County Stadium. Ball 4. 5-pitch walk to Mark McGwire as we send the Cubs-Reds audience back to John Miller in Chicago. So they are loaded up for Brian Jordan.
Good night, all. I think everybody's leaving.
The stands are no longer loaded up. They are unloading. The race to the parking lot has officially begun. So that means they totally discount the chance for the Brewers to send this thing to extra innings. Brian Jordan now with the bases loaded, nobody out. The Cardinals trying to add to their 3-run lead. They have led throughout, 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 3 in the third. Had it at 9-1 before a 5-run bottom of the 6th for the Brewers. Ball 1 to Jordan, who has an RBI single, a run scored after a fielder's choice. 1 for 4 day. The Exodus in full flight here in Milwaukee. Game running 3 hours 10 minutes plus. Fought that one off into medium deep center.
This will be interesting.
Jackson with the big arm, and the throw not in time to get Delino to Shields, who is home with a 10th Cardinal run.
Jackson's throw just up the line a little bit, but the Shields now coming off a knee surgery mid-season, really running well. Stole 2 bases that inning, tagged up and scored a run. He just generates a run. Now look at Brian Jordan, just fights this ball off, gets the bat head on the ball. Jackson does everything right. He sets back, sets himself, gathers it. Strong throws. Shields just outruns the ball anyway. That's the one they were looking for.
Got that extra run home for the 4-run pad. A little more comfort. 10-6. Here's Ron Gant, the Cardinal left fielder, who has homered twice today. No doubt just a footnote, as the headlines will feature number 65 by McGwire.
But they'll all be talking about almost 66.
Should have been. Shoulda, woulda. I don't know that there have been any others that have been that close, because it seems like every time you turn on SportsCenter, it's not whether it went out, but whether it went 500 feet.
The only one that I can even think of that was a scraper like that was the one he hit for number 62, a screaming line drive that barely got out.
Yeah, the ones that were that close, very atypical among the 65. 2-1 to Gant. McGwire at first. Tatis is at second. 1 home, 1 out of the 9th. Gant lifts this one to right field. Burnitz is still out there. And it's out number 2, and Tatis will stay put. Outs for Eli Marrero. 0 for 3 for Eli. He walked last time up. Line to third, pop to second, fly to center his first 3 times. This is Mark McGwire's 200th game as a Cardinal. Here's 200 game
Let's hear
numbers. 280 average, 89 home runs, counting today, 180 RBIs.
Wow.
Almost an RBI per game played, and he has walked now 200 times in 200 games as a Cardinal.
89 homers in 200 games is almost a home run every other game.
Well, I tell you, the number that is even more mind-boggling, I think, is the Sosa number. 54 homers in 103 games since the end of the month of May. Remember, he was at one point down in this race 24-9, and then exploded with the record 20 in June. That just getting a piece for Marrero. 54 in 103 games. Think how unthinkable it used to be to get 54 in any full season.
It makes me wonder, what are the pitchers thinking? Why are you pitching to these guys?
Well, they're either getting good
now
pitches to hit,
booed.
or they're walking them, and McGwire's still possibly looking at the major league record for walks. There's not much in between. He either walks, strikes out, or homers. Jensen's out for a word with Eric Plunk with the count 0-2. Well, from a fan standpoint, you have to be glad that they have pitched to him as much as they have, because it sure added to the drama.
It's made it very exciting, but down the stretch here, you can see that Eric Plunk, you don't pitch to him, you suffer the consequences.
Last night, they pitched to McGwire with first base open and nobody out in an obvious spot where you'd like to walk him and set up the double play possibility. So, definitely some crowd pressure was figured into some of these decisions by opposing managers and pitchers.
And like a little peer group pressure.
Well, the better for all of us who are just along for the ride. Now 1-2 to Marrero. Well, just missing away, having come over earlier in the season for Doug Jones from Cleveland, where for most of his stay with the Indians, he was among the top setup men in baseball. First ahead of Jose Mesa, and then this year ahead of Mike Jackson. Throws pretty hard, age 35. The 2-2 is lifted to left and sending back Banks, who can't get it on the track, in and out of his glove. Here comes Tatis, and McGwire right behind him to throw to the plate is in time to get McGwire. So that ends the Cardinal half of the ninth. The error in left by Banks, one would assume, on a ball that was right in his glove. One run home, but McGwire ruled out, and we head to the bottom of the ninth, 11-6. The 6 Cardinals, they get 2 insurance runs, almost a third in the top half of the ninth. How close was Mark McGwire to scoring after Banks moved from catcher to left, couldn't hang on to that one. That was the error, but he quickly got it in. And Valentin's cutoff throw in time. McGwire may have been surprised they sent him.
Mark's going, what are you doing sending me, lads? Lads screaming at him, get a good jump. Still having fun, that's the key. Not having fun, it's time to go home.
Except for that little incident in the left field seats, it's been a real fun afternoon for McGwire. On to try and finish it off is Juan Acevedo, the Cardinal closer, who in the last 12 outings has picked up 8 saves, 2 victories, and has not allowed a run. His 12th save coming last night, his 11th in the first game of this series on Friday. Terrific numbers for Acevedo, settling down a position that had been really nightmarish for the Cardinals most of the year.
You know, this is the guy that can step in, and you want a guy in that closer role that can just flat bring it. And Acevedo is going to throw you a ball 95. He's got a nice little short arm motion. It's tough to pick up his ball. He's going to throw you a fastball, slider, and that's basically what he's going to come after you with. But the deceptive part of his motion is his short arms hit, and he's got what you would call sneaky fastball. Now with the shadows, it's going to be even tougher to pick him up right now.
Acevedo was a starter, and he was a terrific starter in 9 appearances in that role. 4-1 with a 2.34 ERA, and now he has plugged a considerable hole in the bullpen for Tony La Russa. Darren Jackson had a big afternoon, doubled in the second, drove in a run with a single in the fourth. First Brewer run. Fort Grissom, who had doubled ahead of him. Last 2 times up, flied to center and struck out.
Well, it's been well documented what Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan have done with Dennis Eckersley, taking him out of the starter role, making him a closer. Acevedo, another guy they're looking at possibly doing that same type of change. And the whole key behind their philosophy is if you throw strikes, get ahead of the hitters, and you got good stuff, you'll be able to close ball games out.
We mentioned another one a few years back in the same transition. Rick Honeycutt, starter with Seattle, starter with Texas, middleman setting up Eckersley in Oakland, and then St. Louis.
Absolutely, and you can tell that that's the kind of mixture that they're looking for in their bullpen, that the chemistry worked before, being able to get a couple left-handers, a couple right-handers, and go with a good power close guy. It worked for them in Oakland, and that's what they're trying to develop here.
Got Jackson reaching on the 2-2 pitch. Acevedo racks up the strikeout to start things off here in the ninth.
Well, here's a nasty slider just going off the plate. Darren Jackson had no chance even catching up to that one.
53 strikeouts now, 94 and 2/3 innings for Acevedo. And with one out in the ninth, Marcus Jensen, who came in defensively at catcher when they moved Banks to left last half inning.
Now, a lot of times what happens when you have a closer like Acevedo come in the game, he goes ahead and throws a lot of strikes. The hitters are taking a strike. Now you're automatically in the hole, and you end up being defensive at the plate instead of being aggressive. That's what I used to hate about Dennis Eckersley. He never walked anybody, but every time you went up there, you're in a situation to say, take a strike, try to get a base runner. Now you're 0-1, and X just using you.
Upper deck foul. 1 and 2 play right into his hands, but you're trying to follow orders, I suppose.
Exactly, and after a while, you realize you got to go up there swinging. You can't go up there and take a pitch and find yourself in the hole.
Strikeout again.
And that's why if you have a dominant closer like Acevedo has been, or Eckersley was in his day, they get a lot of strikeouts because managers continually tell you to go up there and take a strike.
And then get in the hole and then try and dig yourself out of it.
And
Easier said than done.
2 strikeouts this inning.
Easier said than done. 3 straight strikeouts recorded by the Cardinal bullpen. Eversgerd set down Grissom to end the 8th. Put that rally to bed. So here is the last hope for the Brewers, and it is Jose Valentin. On the board, all but one appearance. Walked, flied to left, 2-run double and a run scored in their uprising in the 6th, and then singled in the 7th.
Taking a strike here in the 9th.
You can tell. Ball, actually.
It's a ball, but you can tell he's taking the pitch.
He's following orders.
Yeah.
Acevedo at the knees, right down the middle. 2 balls and 1 strike. You're still chuckling about that memory of total frustration following orders as a hitter.
It's the most absurd thing that managers do. They take the bat right out of your hand, and next thing you know, you're up there battling with 2 strikes, and see you later, ball game's over.
That is a rope, but well foul off the bat of Valentin. Cardinals try to finish off the 3-game sweep in their final road appearance of 1998 and go 2 over 500. Low to run the count full. They've been fine at Busch this year where they're 44 and 32, but if they hang on here, they will finish up 9 games under 500 on the road, 35-45. This would get them to 79 and 77. That's their season-long win streak of 5. 3-2 pitch. Shot through on the right side, and Valentin has his 3rd straight hit.
Nice at bat by Jose there. Got ahead of the pitcher the whole at bat. Took the 2-0 pitch. Got the strike. Caught off a changeup, and then he ended up getting a 3-2 fastball to drive it into the hole. Good day for him.
A great day on 4 of his 5 appearances. Not a bad day for Banks, despite that drop Fly ball in left last half inning. He had a big blow in their 5-run sixth, a 2-run double. Off the short last time. Makes ball 1. Still following orders, but with better results.
Well, the whole key is Acevedo's got to throw a strike in order to make it work.
Little looper that will fall in front again in left, and coming on to third, Valentin. They're on the corners with 2 outs in the 9th. Brewers have not fallen quietly. They trail by as many as 8 runs, 9-1, before fighting back to make this a game.
Gets a fastball away and just caught the tail end of it. Now look at the effort by Gant. Great effort, but the key to this play is he kept the ball in front of him. He came in and smothered it, kept it in front of him. He gets by him. They're second and third. Look at his glove. He knows I have no play. He just throws both hands up there. I don't know if he's trying to protect his face or what, but either way, he kept the ball right in front of him.
Top of the order, Vina. Fernando has singled his last 2 trips. Infield hit against Busby, singled against Croushore, leading off the 6th and the 8th, respectively. And again, Acevedo working behind 1-0. Down the middle and foul back, 1 ball and 1 strike. Five homers today by the Cardinals. 1 by McGwire, the one that everybody will remember, the one that wasn't. It was ruled a double, so he's at 65 with a week to go, heading home. For the Astros, a couple, and the season closing series with the Expos. This should do it. Vina bounces to DeShields, who stayed in the game at second, on to McGwire, and that's it. As the Cardinals wrap up their 5th consecutive win, 11-6 our final before 52,831 at County Stadium. They saw McGwire go deep in the first, number 65 with a week to go, and a 5-run victory keyed by McGwire. For Harold Reynolds, Dave